Hello there, and
Hey.
welcome to Reconnected, everyone. Especially Krit, who definitely made this wonderfully on time. How you feeling, Krit?
I woke up 30 seconds ago.
That is the joy of doing this with somebody who is 6 hours ahead of you. Welcome to the show. Everybody say good morning, Krit. Good morning.
I'm like, and that sounds like exaggeration. I am not kidding. I woke up 30 seconds ago. My alarm, I set a bunch of alarms for like 1:30. It's 2:30 in the morning where I am. For 1:30, but my alarm volume is at 0 because I'm off work this week. So I just put my alarm volume at 0 and I forgot about that. Luckily, I woke up at exactly 2:30 for some reason. God just came down and touched me. And I shot out of bed. And ran downstairs. I think I've woke up my entire street, but I'm here.
What a wonderful reason to wake up. Just for the record, I did say, are you sure you want to do this at 2:30 in the morning, Krit? Because I want you to be comfortable. And he said yes many, many times.
I'm here. I made it.
Tonight, after our announcements, we are going to be talking about unconventional romances because tomorrow, as we've already seen in the chat from our dear friends, the Aussies, is Valentine's Day. It's also Valentine's Day where Krit is, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
It's officially Valentine's Day.
As of just a small nap ago, yeah.
Someone's asked me, did I get to answer the question? What question? Am I missing something?
I think what I just said out loud. I'm not sure.
Oh. Give me a break. I just woke up.
So on that note, how have you been? How is everything, sir?
Yeah, I've had a week off work, so it's been really good. Realistically, the channel's wonky. I'm on and off making videos. I do have a really good video kind of done. It's fully written.
That's the one you told me about, right?
Yeah, I just trying to find the motivation to record it and edit it is killing me, but it's really good. It is really good. So I wanna make it, but otherwise everything's really good.
That is great to hear. Any special plans for Valentine's Day with your lady?
Yes, me and because we booked this week off, me and my girlfriend are gonna go to this Japanese restaurant at 11:00.
Nice.
Oh, and it's also D&D night, so
the important stuff. I get it.
yeah. So we're going D&D as well.
Well, before we go into our regular segments, wanted to highlight maybe the most important thing this week. Reminder: Shelf Shock Rewind Awards this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We are live that night. Everything's going to be happening live. There's going to be multiple giveaways. If you want to win, you got to be there to answer some questions. Not to overpromise, but there's some crazy things happening this year. I really hope people show up because somehow this keeps getting crazier and crazier every single year. I don't know how we keep doing this, but there's some pretty damn fun things happening. So make sure you show up Sunday night. It's going to be a semi-long show, somewhere around 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes, but it will all be worth it. I promise. It is a really fun time. We have like 26 awards to give away and 2 for each category, technically, based on like our Oscar and our community vote. So make sure you check it out. It's going to be a great time. Lots of people here every year. You can check it out here on the Disconnected channel or on the Shelf Shock Rewind YouTube channel. It'll also be on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, everything all at once. It is a heck of a fun night. 3rd annual Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. Hope people love it. And that's enough promotion for me.
Whoop, whoop.
Chris wants to know, is that a leaf on your headphone?
It is. It is a crocheted leaf that my girlfriend made that I didn't have time to take off because I woke up 3 seconds before the show started.
It looks good. It's fitting.
Yes.
Let's go through the recent pickups and watches that we normally do. You just posted a handful of things that you picked up. Anything exciting that you want to talk about or share?
I do actually have the pile here because there's no room on my shelf at the moment to put it on. So I'm gonna have to go and make room. So I conveniently have the pile. Let's just quickly go through it. So I got A Star Is Born on 4K. You can't even see that because it's so bright. It was half price, so I picked it. It was like $9.99. So I felt stupid not to pick it up. I really like this movie.
It's a good movie.
And I was talking about it just the other day. Because in my server we had a question of the day, which was what comedy deserved to win Best Picture in its year, because it, whatever. And someone picked, I think, Into the Spider-Verse or something from this year, and I was like, sure, maybe Into the Spider-Verse I would have picked over Green Book, but I still would have picked something like A Star Is Born over Into the Spider-Verse. Right. And it's been on my mind since then, so I picked that up.
Good pickup.
Scream 3 on 4K, because it's the only Scream I didn't own on Blu-ray. So I wasn't able to find it on just standard Blu-ray, so I had to buy the bullet and get it on 4K. I took a chance on The Worst Person in the World. I've not seen it, but it does really seem like my thing. A bunch of people that I know and trust really like it. And this was reduced massively to like $4.99.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't going to pass that. Clerks, because Clerks is great. And Oddity, because it was one of my favorite movies of last year. One of the best horror movies I've seen in a couple of years. And finally, I got the Second Sight box set for Krit.
Beautiful set, wonderful movie.
I've had my eye on this ever since you posted it. You brought this to my attention, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to have that. And I went into the shop yesterday, and it was just sitting there, and I knew it was mine that day.
I still hold out hope that they do the sequel too. Have you seen the sequel?
Yeah, I love the sequel.
It's very good.
I'm also waiting to see the Creep tapes.
Same.
I do have a Shudder account now. I literally got it this week, so nice. I should be watching that at some point.
Very nice. Yeah, wanted to highlight too, forgot to bring this up or post about it. Corinne is talking about the Brother Belial sale. For those of you that love Severin, brotherbelial.com in the US is having a 30% off sale on Severin titles. Runs through, I think, Saturday or Sunday of this week. There is a lot of titles on sale. Lots and lots of them. Pretty much everything that's older than, I think, 5 or 6 months are all on sale. Super worth it. Great packaging. Really, really great company. Go check them out if you haven't. I posted a video on Instagram recommending 5, but check it out. It's good stuff. Pickups for me, very light week. I got in my contributor copy of Rumpelstiltskin 4K.
I still really want that.
It's a fun movie. It's not a masterpiece or anything, but it's a great set. And this is the first time I've ever had a written piece in any of the releases, which is odd to me. So yeah, got that in. And then the one that I'm maybe most excited about this week is Fun City Editions put out their Welcome to Fun City compilation. And this is essentially, how do they word it on here? This is 2-disc set with a whole bunch of commentaries on theatrical trailers, TV spots, and radio spots, sourced from fresh scans of original film and audio materials. And they say there are more than 200 of them, which is crazy. And it's literally just like a New York showcase, which is really nice. Looks like a really great release on the inside. Fun City continuing to do incredible stuff. People that have not followed them after their post-OCN transition, you should really check them out. They do really incredible work. Hats off to Jonathan Hertzberg over there.
Looks really good.
Now you watch way more than me, which is great because I don't have a lot of watches this week. What have you been watching?
You say that. I'm really behind this year. with watching stuff. I'm currently at how many movies? 65. Okay, I said that out loud and it sounded ridiculous, but normally I'm like well over 100 at this point.
Right.
But I am super behind. So, what are the highlights? I rewatched the 2 Avatar films. I have nothing more to say. They're absolutely stellar. I've been rewatching stuff for our conversation, so I can't really talk about those. I've been watching through the Jurassic movies with my girlfriend.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I didn't add those to what I bought because they're downstairs. But I bought Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom and Dominion on Blu-ray because I didn't own them. We just watched Fallen Kingdom last night. It's you know. I enjoy every single Jurassic movie up until that point, and then it becomes a thing.
I feel awful. I'm a massive Jurassic Park fan. I've still never seen anything past the original trilogy. I'm not against them. I haven't gotten to them, and I don't know. Chris Pratt has got a little off-putting. I don't know.
I was talking about this with Zach the other day. Jurassic World, like the first Jurassic World, is so good.
Yeah.
It's really good. But the problem is the 2 sequels, like, I'm not going to say they sucked because, like, I don't think they do suck. But most people did not like the sequels. So when it came time, like, to kind of judge the trilogy overall, people just said they sucked from the beginning and wiped off the whole thing. But they can't fucking fool me. I was there. Okay. I remember. Okay. I was in that theater. Right. You can't slide this one past me. Everyone liked that movie until they decided they didn't. Okay. It's The Force Awakens all over again. Everybody loved The Force Awakens. But when that trilogy was over, they said, no, the sequel trilogy sucks. No, it doesn't. But anyway, that's my little rant. But yeah, Jurassic World is super good. What else did I watch? I've watched a bunch of just random horror movies like Sissy, Mayhem, Grafted. I watched Better Man. Better Man is so good. We're going to be talking about that later, so I won't. And I guess, I don't know, how do I wrap this up? The Hell House movies.
After the conversation last week, yeah.
Yes, I got through the Hell House movies. One is great.
Running commentary was so much fun.
One is great. 2 and 3 are fine. And then 4 is great again. So
great series. Completely agree with everything you just said. The umbrella release of all 4 is stellar. Yeah, not much else to say. I know that they were filming 5. I'm not sure if that's done yet. I assume it'll likely be out this October, probably on Shudder again. Yeah, can't wait to see how they end this series. I believe the 5th one is supposed to be the end.
Yeah, I did see as well that like I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that makes them, he was planning to have this one not be a found footage movie. I don't know whether he's changed that since then because my research might have been a bit outdated.
We'll see. I mean, that'd be an interesting change. His name is Stephen Cognetti, by the way.
That's the one.
I especially love it.
Movie.
Hell House LLC 3. The main character, I think his name is Wynn. Is that right? You watched it more recently than me. The guy. Anyways, he is used as a model in Target, and I love that I sent you that piece of info, and you went, "Yeah, he looks like a Target face."
Yeah, he does have serious Target face.
My big thing, which is on brand for you being here tonight, I finally caught up with Life on Kunk on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
She is funny as hell. Everybody
really
needs to watch that. I have loved everything she's done with that character, and Life is a crazy, crazy movie. There's so many lines in that are great. If you have no idea who Philomena Kunk is, she is essentially like polite British Borat that's more interesting.
I also think way funnier.
Way funnier. It is such a great idea, and the fact that she's sitting there with like some of the most esteemed scientists ever talking about sperm is so funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other than that video you're working on, anything else coming up that you want to get people on board for?
No, just well, to be honest, this has been my main excitement for about a month. So that's I would have said this before tonight.
I swear, since before like November 15th, we've been planning this this theme, and I swear every week or so I get a message. So you got your list ready yet? My list was prepared this afternoon.
I was gonna say, I bet you don't even have it prepared.
The order is still at play. We'll see how it goes tonight, but I definitely have my 10. It's a very solid 10.
Okay, I was completely ready to say, well, do you know what? I may have only got here 3 seconds till showtime, but I'm still more prepared than you. But apparently that's not true anyway. So
I handled it while on a phone call earlier, so take that. Let's see. Anything else? I feel like it's early to get into the announcements, but it's been a crazy week. Everything preparing for the show on Sunday has kind of zapped the life out of me. Every single day has been brutal. I'm getting less time for my kids this week, and it's wild. But I can't wait. You guys are in for a treat on Sunday, so please show up live. It's going to be a good time.
Exactly. Ryan's neglecting his kids, guys. You have to tune in.
Only for this. I don't do that the rest of the
year. Yeah, I imagine they're coming up to you like, Dad, I'm hungry. And you're like, it's award season. Get away from me.
I wish. No, it's less like that. Yeah, not much else to say. Kids are crazy. Yeah, I can't wait for our conversation after. So let's just get into announcements. During our show last week, of course, Imprint announced their next slate, which, funny enough, they're announcing another title tonight in the middle of the show. These are going to all be releasing on April 30th. This first one is It Came From Outer Space, coming in a 4K hard box release. Also includes a bunch of extra stuff with it. I mean, we've got, let's see, do they spell it out? Oh, yeah, and it also has the film on 3D Blu-ray, of course. They don't list it anywhere. It's got some art cards and all that fun stuff. Lenticular hard case, like their big 4K that they did for their first release on 4K. This has an audio commentary, Tom Weaver, that's been carried over, and some other extras on the Blu-ray. This has been available in 4K elsewhere, so this is a little less exciting if you've already got that other 4K release. How do you feel about these classic sci-fi films?
You know, I'm in like two minds. Obviously, this is I haven't seen this movie, but it's a Jack Arnold movie, right?
Yep.
You meant like Creature from of Black Lagoon and Tarantula. In one hand, I super love them, but like also I feel like I love them more in memory than when I'm actually experiencing them. You know, when I think about like Tarantula, I'm like, oh yeah, that rocks, and then I'm watching it and I'm like, I wish this was over. Like, you know, but I do. It's not. It makes sense, but I really like Wes Craven's Swamp Thing, which is like a big, massive like homage to these like 50s creature movies, and I think it does it really well. And I super love Swamp Thing, so I think I love the 50s monster pastiche more than the actual 50s monster.
Right. I totally get that because like I love Matinee. That's another big one that really gives some great honor and respect to in a new and clever way.
Yeah.
Next up, Flesh and Fantasy and Dead of Night, coming in a double feature pack for them. Flesh and Fantasy was released earlier from Vinegar Syndrome. Dead of Night has come out through Kino and a couple other places. Like one of the earliest anthology horror movies, which is just incredible. Hope you guys check these out. We got a new visual essay by Joseph Dwyer on this, new interview with John Towson, author of The Turn to Gruesomeness, an American horror film. This is also going to include for Dead of Night a new commentary by Pamela Hutchinson, new interview with the author John Llewellyn Probert on the popularity and history of British horror anthologies and Dead of Night, and then a new interview with David Huckvale, plus some archival features, all in one of their big hard boxes with 2 cases on the inside. Looks pretty great. Yeah, the Swamp Thing release looks pretty incredible on 4K.
Does it? I've never seen it on 4K.
Yep. Dead of Night is essential for any horror movie fan. Completely agree. It's a big one. Next up is...
I didn't even know I have 4K.
Tales of Adventure Volume 5 coming from Imprint. This is going to have 5 different films in it. We got The 27th Day, Devil Girl from Mars, The Gamma People, The Night the World Exploded, and then This Island Earth, all coming in one giant package. The Night the World Exploded is the first time on Blu-ray. The Gamma People is the worldwide first on Blu-ray as well. The Underwater City is in SD only, and then This Island Earth gets a new commentary by Heath from over at Serial at Midnight, and then a new audio commentary on Devil Girl from Mars with Philippa Berry. New interview with John Towson on Devil Girl from Mars as well. Not much extra being added to these, but some of these, again, just for the first time being released on Blue, that's a big deal. Yeah, these sets are really interesting.
I was gonna say the artwork. I really like the artwork for them. I think I'd buy them just off that alone.
I mean, not only are they using all the original posters, but then that box art looks pretty great.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
These seem to be almost as popular as the neo-noir sets that they've done so far. So glad they're doing well. And if this isn't exciting enough for you, they also have Volume 6 coming out this month. We've got Counterattack from 45, first time on Blu-ray. Abandoned Ship from 57, first time on Blu-ray. King Rat from 65, first time on Blu-ray. And then The Bridge at Remagen from 69. We've got a new audio commentary by Steve Mitchell and Stephen J. Rubin on The Bridge at Remagen, new visual essay on the director there, and that seems to be it for the extras, which is not a whole lot. But glad we're still getting these. These look like really fun releases. Ooh, dude just got the Neverending Story box ordered. Yeah, that thing is way expensive, but it's so nice in person. I definitely got tempted. I just wish I had extra money for a mortgage payment. Let's see. I think they've got 1 or 2 more. Bridge of Vengeance also coming. This is from 1949. This is going to have a new audio commentary by Daniel Kramer and David Del Val. In fact, I think they just recorded this one today, if I remember their post on social media correctly. Yeah, this looks like a really fun release.
This is one I have seen.
Nice. What do you think?
I didn't even see this when I was scanning this. The only reason I even saw it really was because of Paulette Goddard, who's in some Charlie Chaplin movies. She's in my favorite Charlie Chaplin movie, which is Modern Times. And I just wanted it because obviously they're like silent, comedy movies, whatever. So I wanted to see like how she translated outside that world. And the answer is fantastically. I didn't love the movie
exactly what you hoped for.
Yeah, but like her in particular, I really vibed with in the film.
Nice, very nice. I've not seen this one. Definitely need to. Dustin says Bridge of Vengeance like the opening scene of Maximum Overdrive. Next up is Ivy from 1947 with Gene Fontaine. This is the first time on Blu-ray ever as well. We've got a new interview with Jeremy Arnold, the author of Turner Classic Movies, The Essentials, and then it says to be confirmed on subtitles. I imagine they will be doing that eventually. I've heard this is a great one. Have you seen this one?
No, but it is on my watch list. Obviously, the great John Fontaine, star of Rebecca and Suspicion, and if it's good enough for Hitchcock's best, I'm willing to take a chance. Is this? I feel like this is one of like the noirs, right?
It feels like it for sure.
Yeah, I have multiple watch lists and like everything sorted into it. I feel like this is in my noir watch list. I love noirs. We will be talking about maybe one or two of them today. So yeah, no, I'm for sure interested in it.
I just realized I believe I said Bridge of Vengeance. I meant to say Bride of Vengeance, so I apologize. I can't read. Let's go to the next one, which Blue Underground just announced that this summer they are going to be releasing the 2 Christopher Lee, Jess Franco directed Blood of Fu Manchu and Castle of Fu Manchu films. These are from 1968 and 69. They're going to be brand new 2025 Dolby Vision 4K restorations from the original uncut and uncensored OCN's new extras in production, and they are planning to release this summer.
You know, just real quick, I was scrolling through the releases like coming out, and this like caught my eye. I had never heard of this before. I just read The Blood of Fu Manchu and then some cool artwork, and then I read Christopher Lee, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Christopher Lee's in like a like an Asian martial arts movie. That's sick." And then I like Googled the movie, and I was like, "Oh no, he is Fu Manchu."
These aren't problematic at all. I love Brian says these are such bad Franco movies, but I'm sure they'll look amazing. And Silent Mandible has officially canceled Christopher Lee. I'll let him know for you. Next up, the Turbine 3D Collector Series continues on February 27th as they are releasing Scream 6, Friday the 13th, Part 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. There is, really great reviews of all of their previous 4K releases, not 4K, 3D. These movies are probably going to look incredible on 3D. I know that that's something that a lot of people that love 3D stay after. It's not so easy in the US, so I'm glad that this line is focusing on this. And I got to admit, I saw Scream 6 in the theater in 3D. I was kind of impressed with how they used it. It's not great. It's not overly used, but it's pretty good for a Scream movie. It wasn't filmed in 3D. It was converted, but it's not bad.
Sweet. I like the last movie I saw in 3D. I couldn't even tell you. I thought it was going to be Avatar 2, but then I just remembered that I explicitly went to a 2D showing of it. Like I really went out of my way to do that because I don't really like 3D.
Right.
But I remember like when Avatar 2 came out, there was a bunch of 3D screenings and there was like maybe 1 or 2 2D screenings, and I made sure I crammed into one of the 2D ones. But like my dad's super into 3D, so anytime I see anything with my dad, even at his house, I have to wear glasses. It's ridiculous. But no, good for Germany, honestly.
And they're really leaning into the fact that if you are after 3D, you can get these because they are all region free. You do not need to worry about that. So check them out if you're into 3D.
Also, granted, just quick, obviously I'm a massive fan of Scream. So the fact that there's a Scream movie in 3D does kind of intrigue me.
It's not terrible. Although I guess the chat is disagreeing with me.
Are they disagreeing with you that it's a bad 3D release, or just that it's a bad movie, though?
Just that it's a bad movie.
See, they're on crack.
Damn. Avatar 2 in 3D was the first 3D movie Ben enjoyed. I was so excited. My wife and daughter hated it.
Okay, they're wrong. I hate to say
I love
it
that you're just the contrarian now.
No, but like I'm right. Do you know, it's all subjective. Everyone's opinion is correct until it doesn't line up with mine. Then you're just being silly.
And now I'm trying to think, was Scream 6 the last 3D movie I saw? We may have. I don't remember if Inside Out 2 was done in 3D. I don't remember. I feel like it was, but I'm not sure.
I can't believe they hated it. I've seen Avatar 2, I think 5 times now. And each time I gave it 5 stars, except for the first time where I gave it 4.5, because I was an idiot. And on on my 4th watch or something, my review, no, it was my 3rd watch in 2023. My 3rd watch, my review of it is, it's the greatest movie ever made, I fear.
Oh.
And I have not made another review for that movie in the last 2 watches, because I think it holds up every time. When I have a little bit of space away from it, that is not my belief. But while I am watching that movie, I think it's the greatest movie ever made.
In other words, it gets you very high, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one, which is a British classic with a question mark.
Is it?
March 31st, Hammer is releasing their second of these giant collectible 4K bundles that they're doing. And for their second title, they went with Four-Sided Triangle from 1953. Hammer horror series, all of their fame that they've always had, and they went with Four-Sided Triangle as their second title. Nothing against it at all. Barbara Payton is great in this. This is just a really odd choice for a second title. And the whole Captain Kronos release is out there getting great reviews. So this will probably do, if you like this movie, it'll probably be great. I just don't know how it's going to sell. I'm very curious about that. This one is going to have a new commentary with Melanie Williams and Thurza Wakefield, new commentary with Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons. There is a visual essay on Barbara Payton and some others. There's also a booklet with a bunch of new writing and a double-sided poster. It all comes inside this nice box, and 4K, Blu-ray discs, all that. It's going to have HDR and everything. Looks like a solid release. This is a pretty big deal, and most people have not seen this Hammer movie.
Yeah.
But again, that's why it's a weird choice for your second one.
I mean, whatever. It looks like a great release. Like
it does, yeah.
And certainly, if I was into, because I know, like, from being in your server now, a lot of people just buy stuff without watching it, and just hope that it's good. Even like stuff that's expensive, like I assume this will be. And if I were in kind of that mindset, I would buy this because it looks like something I would want to watch. But because of the person I am, I will have to watch it before committing.
I mean, I would love to just say I'll have all of them that they put out. But, I mean, they've done so many great films under the Hammer banner. You think they do a Dracula title quickly? Or, like Ronnie said, give us The Vampire Lovers. Incredible movie. There's so much that they could do that has, like, incredible, well-known reputations. And this is great. I hope people get it and they love it and they continue to do this. Deep cut Hammer films are better than a lot of other movies. No joke there, and I mean that fully.
I don't doubt it.
Next up, Blu-ray in the U.S. coming from Kino of French Without Tears from 1940. Yes. This is a 4K scan of a Universal Preservation starring Ray Milland. We've got a Billy Wilder, Charles Brackett screenplay. I've never seen this. This is probably the era of film that I know the least about, and I feel like you do not love this.
No, the that I gave out loud by accident was upon hearing the word French.
That's not surprising in the least bit.
Yeah. What's the point of a French Without Tears? Am I right, fellas? Yeah.
That's how they fill the channel. Got it.
That's it's just the UK in me. I have to. It's an obligation for me to hate.
Craig says script by Billy Wilder can't be bad, although it's an uncredited script. So,
wow.
Maybe. Next, Horde is coming on February 14th, literally tomorrow, in the UK from Plumeria Pictures. This is the first time we've heard from them in a long time. This is a 2023 film by Luna Carmoon. This is the world first Blu-ray release of the startlingly original Horde in a special numbered limited edition with individually scavenged treasure, or what looks like just plain trash.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I can't wait to get the top half of a Marlboro pack. That's well worth the $500 I'm going to be spending on this.
This has a commentary with the director, some deleted scenes, a trailer, behind-the-scenes photography, can't speak. There's a sleeve and box art, and Beth Morris did the art. Yay, Beth Morris, good stuff. This is
Nice
limited to 500 numbered editions, if you're after this.
I was going to be. I don't think I'll... oh, wait, it's in the UK. I might have a chance.
Yes, shipping should not be insane for you.
No, I hadn't heard of this, which was surprising because like 2023 was the year I started to like watch a lot of movies, like from the given year, and I've never heard of this. So I googled this like 2 days ago or something, and it does look actually really good. So I probably will try and grab a copy of this.
I would love to read the synopsis, but it's not a very clean synopsis. Although I guess I should have checked over at Letterboxd. The what they have here is basically diary entries, which is not great. Over on Letterboxd, it says the story follows Maria, a teenager whose mother used to be a hoarder. Now, set in the 90s, she lives in a foster home where a previous resident, Michael, inspires her to revisit her childhood memories and passions that she has repressed. Interesting. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'm into it.
All right. Next up, coming soon on Blue from Kino is Night World from 1932. This will have a brand new master. Stars Boris Karloff. That's all I know. Don't know anything else about this one. Need to see this. Definitely behind on a lot of these classic films.
Yeah. Is this... I felt... No, I'm losing my mind. Nothing.
All right, then. Let's go. Well, I guess I'll remind everybody. Gwen and the Book of Sand is available. Will wanted to remind everybody that we did a visual essay on this, but look at this gorgeous animation. You should check out the movie.
I didn't know you did a thingy on this.
Yeah, we did a visual essay that is really like philosophical and interesting. I think people would
My favorite kind of essay.
It's not really about the film itself.
Yeah, I did one of those about network.
Ooh, yeah.
And people get really angry at me because the whole idea was about like how society has stayed the same, and network's critique of society then still applies now. It's just kind of evolved in a different way. And
Right.
like half the comments on that video were like, "You didn't even speak about network at all," and I was like, "I don't know the point."
Next, April 1st, Sony is releasing One of Them Days with Keke Palmer and SZA,
Nice.
which is supposedly amazing. I cannot wait to see this. This will have gag reel, a Dream Team featurette, Block Party, the cast featurette, What's in My Bag with Lucky. This looks good. Can't wait to see this.
I know. I'm super excited to watch this. I really, really want to watch this. As soon as they announced that SZA and Keke Palmer were going to be in a movie together, I did not care what the reviews were saying. I was going to watch it regardless.
Right.
But then the review said, it's good. So I'm even more excited now.
Yeah, this is supposed to be incredible. And right now, SZA is obviously on everybody's mind. So this is a good time to check it out. Can't wait till April 1st. And next up, all right, we get to hear Krit wax poetic. But first, this is a really weird way to roll this out. So Better Man from last year is getting a Paramount Presents release on May 13th. This will have a Blu-ray disc and a 4K disc. This will have a making of with the director Michael Gracie going in depth. Robbie Williams will also be in on that. There's visual effects on the CGI monkey star. That looks to be about it. But what's crazy, this looks to be an Amazon exclusive. You can't get this anywhere else in the US. And then on top of that, the only other release of this film is going to be a DVD release. So if you want an HD release of Better Man, you have to buy the Paramount Presents release, which is crazy. Krit, tell us why this is incredible.
This is so good. Okay, right. Where do I start? Robbie Williams. I think it's fair to start at Robbie Williams. This movie bombed to shit. And I think a big part of that was, from what I saw anyway, was this like huge American ignorance that was like, why would I go and see this movie? I don't know who Robbie Williams is. And one, I just think that's such a bizarre way to approach movies.
Right.
You watch movies all the time about people you don't know. Why does this make it any different? Whatever.
That's
so
true.
This lack of like weird interest, so odd to me. But either way, watch it. I forgive you for not buying into it. I do. Okay. It is the gold standard. I'm not even kidding. It is the gold standard for a modern movie musical. It is so inventive. It plays with its genre in a way that I maybe haven't seen in a movie musical since I couldn't even tell you. It's so completely unique. You do not need to know who Robbie Williams is. You don't. And I guarantee you, by the end of the movie, you will care about who Robbie Williams is. You will be listening to his music. You will be investing in who he is. And, by the way, you should know who Robbie Williams is. Because he's fucking hilarious. He's one of the funniest people walking this planet. And it's sad that people don't know who he is outside the UK and Europe. He is just such a bold soul, a very humorous person. And when you're watching this movie, you get something out of him that I don't think anyone has really gotten out of him before. I actually live in the town that he's from. I moved here. I'm not from here. I moved here. And I didn't know he was from here until I moved here. And I kept seeing like murals of his face everywhere, and I thought it was really weird. And then someone told me he's from here. I was like, that makes sense. But everyone from here has a story about Robbie Williams, because he used to come back here a lot after he was famous. And every single one of these stories is he's an arsehole. No one really likes him that's met him. And I always thought that was super interesting. And then you watch this and you kind of get it. You kind of get why no one likes him. But it's also kind of, I don't know, but it makes you feel better about those stories. And for the whole, I don't understand why the CGI monkey, I got two responses. One, when you're watching the movie, it slowly becomes normal. Like, it makes sense. And I can't explain why. You just get to a certain point in the movie where it just starts to make sense that he's a CGI monkey, that you don't even really notice it anymore. And two, why not make him a CGI monkey? Why not? I don't like... What difference... Do you know what I mean? I remember when they said they was doing a Robbie Williams biopic, I distinctly turned into my girlfriend going, I don't care. You know, Robbie Williams, I like some of his music. I don't care enough to go and see a movie about him. And then the trailer came out and he was a monkey. And I said, we're seeing this. He's a monkey. I think more movies should have monkeys in them. That's my final argument. Anyway, yeah, it's one of the best modern movie musicals you will see. So go and see it. That's my take.
I love that pretty much everybody I know that has seen this has all raved about it, said the music's amazing, the story's incredible, the CGI monkey just sort of fades away into it, and everybody else that has not seen it is like staunchly against it, and that makes no sense to me. It's got incredible reviews. I'm very interested in seeing this. I've just not been able to yet.
See, this is the thing, right? Stan says because he's not a CGI monkey. Listen, how many modern biopics of movies involve scenes of stuff that never happened, involve storylines that make them seem better than they were? Do you know what I mean? Like, every biopic is manufactured in some way. Well, this one is just bold enough to put it to the front.
Not only that, we just talked about how nobody in the US knows who Robbie Williams is. 30 minutes before you were told about this movie, we could have said the name Robbie Williams, and it could have been a famous singer or a CGI or a monkey, and you would have no idea what the difference is.
Yes, exactly. Like, I think for people who don't know, they could have hired a real monkey. That's really funny. For people who don't know who Robbie Williams is, if that's holding you back for some bizarre reason, just pretend that he's not a real person. Just pretend that you're going to see a movie called Better Man that has a CGI monkey in it. And it works just as fine. You don't need any prior knowledge to this man. Wouldn't the film then tell you about who he is? Yes, exactly. That's kind of the point. So, yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter if it's a monkey or Robbie Williams himself. You get the story.
It's so good. Also, I remember distinctly, by the way, growing up, people used to call Robbie Williams Monkey Boy because he had kind of an apish face. So I feel like that played a part in it. And also, by the way, people saying they don't know why they did that. If you watch the trailer, like within the first 10 seconds, they actually tell you. They spell it out. Because Robbie Williams narrates the trailer and he says, I've always felt like I was less evolved than everyone else around me. It's right, like it's there. First 10 seconds of the first trailer, and people are like, why is he? Oh, whatever. People ask for creativity in Hollywood. Okay, they ask, and then when they get it, do they go and see it? Of course they don't.
Can I just say, I love how stereotypical it is that we have a Brit ranting about a better man and Robbie Williams. All right. Let's go to the next title. April 29th, Kino is releasing Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead on 4K and Blu-ray. Either way, you can watch this. We got a new audio commentary by the director, Gary Fleeter, and the writer, Scott Rosenberg. We also have a new audio commentary by Daniel Kramer again. It's like second or third time he's been brought up tonight. Nice. The Blu-ray disc in the set will also have a bunch of the extras that were on the Imprint disc, which is a pretty great disc. If you like this movie or you don't have the Imprint Blu-ray, this is a good pickup. If you've never seen this, it's a fun movie. Have you seen this one?
No.
I
didn't even know it existed.
Such an incredible cast. I mean, Andy Garcia probably near his prime, but then on top of that, Christopher Lloyd, William Forsythe, Bill Nunn, Treat Williams being incredible, Jack Warden, Steve Buscemi's in this, Christopher Walken is great. This movie is a lot of fun. I think people should check it out.
I agree, Subaquatic. There isn't enough monkeys. I would watch this if Andy Garcia was a CGI monkey. But you know, maybe it'll be okay.
Hey, another musical biopic. April 1st, there's a 4K and Blu-ray version of A Complete Unknown coming on a really interesting way, because this is a Fox film and they're releasing this on 4K, but they couldn't release Poor Things on 4K. This will have a making of. It'll have Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan featurette, the supporting cast, the design, an audio commentary by James Mangold, and then a story featurette. The 4K disc will be a 66 gig disc, so not huge. But the big thing is that this will be having Dolby Vision, which for a film like this coming from the 20th century side of things is usually not gonna happen like that. So something is happening at Disney. I'm glad that's working out.
I mean, I don't care about Bob Dylan. He's not British and he's not a CGI monkey. I don't care enough.
Wait, hear me out. What if he's played by an American twink that's very popular?
I mean, that's exactly what he was. So I can't I can't exactly get massively excited, but you know, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I think Bob Dylan was a really good songwriter. I just don't think he's a very interesting person. I just don't. I don't.
There's so many good comments right now. Matthew says, not my joke, but I heard Chalamet really nailed the live Dylan sound, which means he sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Travis says, what if he's played by a CGI rap boy? Oh, man. An American twink who gave the clap to NYU. Oh, man. This is incredible. All right, that's enough about Dylan. I've not seen this either. I really need to. I hear it's incredible. Scream Team Releasing, which is an indie horror company that we've talked about a handful of times. This cover, huh? They are putting out on March 1st Cannibal Comedian from 2024. Now, what's hilarious is I got an email about this coming out, and yet today I got a message asking if I could remove this because they have not announced this yet.
Oh.
You emailed me about the film, and it's for sale on your website, but you don't want me to talk about it? All right.
Okay. I mean, listen, guys. I don't think it's special enough anyway for you to be that panicked.
So to verify, let's hear what it's about. By day, Charlie is a butcher of flesh and bone, luring unsuspecting travelers to his desert roadside stand and serving them up as specialty meatball subs. That's never happened in any movie before. But by night, he slays on stage at the local comedy club, turning his victims into dark, biting bits that make the audience squirm and laugh. Practicing half-baked puns for a captive audience consisting of aspiring musician Crystal, the fabulous and ferocious fiend of a friend Eleanor, the local sheriff, and deceased roommate Skelly, Charlie musters up the courage to chase both his dreams and his victims. But when the club's sleazy owner Carrie tries to steal the twisted shtick, he doesn't realize he's just become Charlie's next punchline that isn't just for laughs, it's written in blood.
Do you know, I watched the trailer for this after seeing this show up on your thing, and it had me for a minute. When he's on stage making cannibal puns, I was sold. I was like, this is brilliant. And then it cut to like him actually doing cannibal stuff, and I completely lost interest. I think this movie legit should just be a stand-up special. But this guy is playing a fictional cannibal being a stand-up comedian. If it was just that, I'd watch it.
I watched the trailer for this too, and oh my god. I cannot imagine that somebody messaged me to remove this post because they were excited about hyping it up when they've already emailed me about it. Yeah, this is... Oh boy. If you're into this, this comes with 2 different commentaries, a documentary, and then a whole bunch of other features, an alternate ending, deleted scenes, short films, trailers, and more. Check it out now if that's something you're into, but oh man.
These covers look like I made them.
I love that we get to see your art on Sunday.
Absolutely. I have it next to me. I also love, by the way, that this says collector's edition, so you know, like, you're getting the best version of this movie. You know, this is not just some standard release of Cannibal Comedian. This is the collector's edition. Okay.
It comes with the slipcover. You have to get this.
Oh my god.
Jesus. All right, let's go to the next one instead of roasting that. By the way, Scream Team Releasing is usually great. They don't do like top-notch amazing movies, but good stuff. Landman Season 1, which I've heard is incredible, is coming on May 13th in the US from Paramount. This is going to have a featurette called Constant Crisis, The Road to Landman. Passion and Poise, Tommy and Angela, Cammy and Monty featurette. Welcome to the Path, Pyrotechnics and Stunts featurette. Meet the Millers, The Best of Tommy, Roughnecking with Billy James and Jacob. Digging deep with the cast of Landman. I had never heard of this, but I watched the trailer for this. Billy Bob Thornton looks really good. Demi Moore is in this. John Hamm. Ali Larder is in this, and she looks incredible. Taylor Sheridan produces it or something like that. Yeah, this actually looks pretty good.
I am completely on board with the cast, with the concept. What I'm not on board with is this pull quote that says, "Landman gives Texas the Yellowstone treatment," and I've been trying to figure out for like a week what what the fuck that means.
It means there will be 6 seasons your dad will love.
I have no idea what that means at all. It's like getting like the box set of Succession, and then it's like, this gives billionaires the Breaking Bad treatment, and I don't know what that means. You're just saying words.
If you put David Lynch in a cubicle, you get Succession. What? All right. April 7th, Entertainment and Video over in the UK is putting out a Heretic 4K Steelbook. If you love this movie, this looks like a fun release of this. I got to admit, the art is pretty decent on this.
Yeah, the art is really nice. I
like that they went with that. The inside is a nice pull. Sophie Thatcher killing it right now. This wasn't my favorite movie, but I enjoyed 2/3 of it enough.
Yeah, it landed outside of my top 50. Man, I know that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? The thing is, like, the first act for this movie is so good. The first act is like a 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10. If they had continued the quality of that first act, I think this really could have been one of the best horror movies of the year. But I feel like I think I said this to you, when they came up with the idea of the movie, they came up with the idea of a great first act. They knew the concept of a really cool setup for a horror movie. The problem was they just didn't know where to take it.
Right.
And it just slowly loses itself. Like, the more the movie goes on, they keep making very odd and bizarre decisions and writing themselves into corners. And yeah, by the third act, it really loses itself. But I do like the idea that there's a serial killer that just tries to Reddit argument people into killing themselves. I think that's a really novel idea. So, yeah, I am not even shitting you. If Hugh Grant was a CGI monkey in this movie, it would have been in my top 10 of last year.
All right. Let's keep going. Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth is coming out on Blu-ray from Film Movement on March 4th. I've never seen this, but this was a PBS 6-part series that a lot of people loved, from what I can tell. This seems to be rated very highly. It is focusing on themes found in culture and religious mythologies.
Okay.
Campbell argues that these timeless archetypes continue to have a powerful influence on the choices we make and the ways we live. The hard part is I don't even know if this is going to be true HD. It's probably not. It is probably just going to be SD on Blu-ray, which is fine. But I'm glad it's getting a release. This has been difficult to see for a little bit, so it's nice.
Sweet. Obviously, PBS is not a thing like here in
Pretty
the
soon,
UK.
it won't be a thing here either, baby.
Oh, is that? Oh, really?
Have you heard of our president?
Oh, right. I forgot about that guy.
Yes, you don't have to worry about him on a day-to-day basis.
Honestly, like, I kind of do, though. He's like really powerful and very, very silly. That's the word I'll go with. He's very silly.
Not a word that I would use, but I get it.
And so far he's only fucking up your space. You know, great for me. That's fine. That's what you get for not seeing better.
He's trying for Greenland.
But oh yeah, Greenland's not having any of it though. Did you see that one guy, by the way, that was like, Greenland's not for sale, fuck you, or something like that, and he said that's like the UN or whatever. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that guy's scary.
Joseph Campbell was a giant anti-Semite. Awesome. Let's go to the next title then. The Brutalist. Coming in March on 4K and Blu-ray from A24. This is obviously a pretty well-known movie at this point. This is coming with the commentary by the DP, Lowell Crowley. I had to make sure that I was spelling it correctly because this person's first name is LOL. I feel terrible for them. The Architects of the Brutalists is coming as a featurette. They also will have collectible postcards with architectural renderings by John Burgoyne. Yeah, you can pick this up on 4K or Blu-ray from A24.
Did they ever resolve the AI stuff?
To me, I think the AI stuff for this is completely overblown, especially because of what the AI was used for on this. It was literally the like 3 people involved in the film using their accents to improve the Hungarian that they have. That to me is not a big deal. And then the other thing was enhancing some drawings through AI based on their own drawings. To me, I don't think there's anything as part of that.
Yeah, I didn't like. I saw the initial release of it, and like the initial like article on the AI was a lot more scathing. Like it, they said that they had like created pretty much the entire third act and all those structures through AI and stuff like that, and this whole thing. So then like that was a big thing. But then I saw like there was a load of contention with that, and then the people involved in the movie were fighting back against it. And at a certain point, I just didn't care anymore. So I didn't look into it further. I didn't know if they figured that out or not.
Yeah, this one obviously, is up for a bunch of Oscars. I'm kind of surprised A24 didn't do like a bigger deal type of release for this film.
That's because A24 suck. For a distribution company that is so popular, they suck at distribution.
I mean, yeah, I can't really argue with that.
This movie was announced as a nominee for Best Picture, and 2 people had seen it. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it had only truly had like a limited release before the Oscar announcements, and then it had a wide release right after that.
Wide release is giving it some praise.
I mean, at least it played near me. I mean, I don't know.
I think there was like maybe 1 showing in my city.
Yeah, that's rough.
And it was like on a Tuesday at like 3 p.m. Like,
and it still didn't end till like 9:30 that night. Simmer saying, how does the small versus big packaging work with A24? There's no rules that they've said, but so far it looks like if it had a 4K release before they put it out, then it gets, or not even if it had a 4K release, if it had any like standard release before they put it out, then it gets the big packaging. But it's, I don't know, they haven't done, gosh, other than Stop Making Sense, I think the last one that had a big release was Everything Everywhere. So it's been a while at this point. I don't know, maybe they're not even going to use that anymore. I know a lot of people didn't love that packaging. Never heard of this, thought it was the Christian Bale movie, but Adrian Brody is on the cover. The Brutalists only hit the posh art house cinemas in Australia. Well, does A24 own it everywhere?
I think so.
Because I know that there are other, like the Lighthouse isn't owned by A24 in the UK.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. The Brutalist does in the UK. I know that.
Interesting.
The Brutalist A24 does.
Well, you can check this out. This will probably ship a little bit early. It says expected to ship in March. Every other release from the last couple months that they've said that, they've beat that time by like 2 or 3 weeks. So you should be able to count on that shipping soon. This is wild. I know we talked about this last week, but the newest issue of the Physical Media Advocate is available finally. This thing was held hostage by Amazon. Usually the approval for printing takes less than like a day and a half, maybe. This thing took over a week and they still found nothing wrong. They just casually said, yeah, here it is. It's released. You can print it. Check this out on Amazon everywhere. This will be up at the common retailers soon. There's a lot of great stuff in this one. We've got a really great piece by Ryan Luis Rodriguez from the One Track Mind podcast, talking about the audio commentaries of Roger Ebert. Eric Altieri, who is in our Discord, talks about his DVD origin story. Lori Donnelly talks about the Gladiator film from 25 years ago that you may have heard of. We got Mr. Sibner, who is in the chat right now, talking about studio titles going out of print, which is a big deal. Somebody messaged me about reading his article today and finding another one that's out of print. So go check that out. Connor Holt is back reviewing Miracle Mile that was just put out by Kino Lorber. Stan, of course, highlighted David Lynch, just like our cover does here. We spotlighted Cult Epics. We've got our pieces on Radiance and Arrow, like always. Jeremy Long talking about his Q&A stories. But the big thing, we got an exclusive interview with the man, the myth, the legend, Bill Rebane himself, who had the subject of a big Arrow box set just a couple years ago. And I think you should check it out. It is a really, really interesting piece, and I'm very stoked that Vance was able to hook that up. We got a copy of this on the way to Bill right now.
Beautiful cover art. I just want to say, I really love the cover art for this one. It's really nice. Yeah, as well. Obviously, rest in peace, David Lynch. We may be talking about a David Lynch movie later on. Maybe.
Interesting. Wonder which one. Next up, Kino Lorber releasing Posse from 1975 on April 29th. Kirk Douglas, Bruce Dern star in this one. We got a new audio commentary by Steve Mitchell. You love Westerns, don't you, Krit?
Oh, God. I was just going to keep my mouth shut for the entirety of this one. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Just Westerns never really work for me. There are the odd exception, and I'm not going to say which ones because Western fans get angry at me.
Me too.
But you know, whatever. I'm sure like I'll watch one day and I'll get it. But like until then, cool.
Until then, cool is perfect. Yeah, this seems like a very classic Kino Western of like, yeah, it's a movie. Enjoy. Next up, The Bermuda Triangle from 1979 coming out on Blue on April 29th from them. We got a commentary by James L. Conway, moderated by friend of the show, Howard S. Berger. James Conway is also the one that did the Boogans and the Lincoln Conspiracy. I've heard this is pretty good, actually. I would like to see it. This had a 4K scan back in 2017, so it should look pretty decent.
Never seen it. I do just want to. It's quite funny. I was thinking about the Bermuda Triangle the other day. Not the movie, the actual
something
thing.
You worry about often, yeah.
Yeah. I was just sitting in bed and I was thinking about it, and I was just thinking like the Bermuda Triangle really fell off, didn't it? Nothing goes missing anymore. What happened?
Once we got Google Maps, I guess.
Yeah. The Bermuda Triangle like just fell off. You know, after like maybe the third album, it gave up.
They had a few hits.
Yeah. Nothing really works anymore. It's fine.
Next, we got a bunch of announcements from 88 Films today. May 12th, they are releasing Seed People from 1992. This is another full moon title. By the way, all these are coming in the UK. I have a feeling one or two of them might be coming in the US, but it is not. They didn't specify this time, which was kind of odd. This one is going to have a commentary with Dave Wayne and Maddie Budrowitz. That's probably not how you say it. Dave Wayne is the guy from the shop over in London, I think. Do you know which one I'm talking about, Krit? Is that Dave Wayne?
No idea. Haven't got a clue.
You're in the UK. You don't know everybody?
Is he a CGI monkey?
Holy shit. That was a good callback. I'll give you that. All right.
No, I have no idea.
Going to our next one, Lady of the Law, the next title in their Shaw Brothers releases.
Oh, yeah.
This will have an image gallery and a folded poster, and that's it. This is one that I think might be coming to the US because it is listed as region A and B. So probably coming on May 20th in the US, but no confirmation on that yet. Maybe updating soon. Sunset Warriors, which you may know as a different title, Heroes Shed No Tears from 1984, getting a release on May 19th in the UK. But the big thing is this was made John Woo just before he made A Better Tomorrow, and it was hacked by the studio and eventually released as Hero Shed No Tears. But Woo had his original cut still, and it's been something that people have wanted for years, and this is that release. Sunset Warriors, the uncut John Woo version of Hero Shed No Tears, will finally get a release. That is a big deal.
Yeah, I'm a big John Woo guy. I've loved every movie I think I've seen of John Woo's. That's why I've avoided watching Silent Night, because I don't want to ruin that. So yeah, I'm
watching Face Off. You'll be fine.
I fucking love Face Off. So I will be buying this.
By the way, confirmation from Paul in the chat. Dave Wayne has the Snips Video Store is his name, or Snips Movies. He does a weekly YouTube show about the store that he owns in London. Go check it out.
Ah, okay. I don't go to London much.
Ben says Silent Night is better than Better Man, and I don't think many other people would feel that way. Oh man, that's funny. Next up, let's get into erotic sex games.
Whoa, finally, the real movies.
No, this is part of their French collection.
Oh, never mind.
This is also coming on May 12th in the UK from them. No extras on this from what I can tell. But if you are into the French adult films, this is one that you can check out. And if you want a follow-up, they're also doing Shut Up, I Love You from 1980. This one with Brigitte Lahaye. And there's actually a new interview with Brigitte Lahaye on this, which is very nice. I just noticed there are bare nipples on there. Oops.
Do you know,
these ones are at least are covered by pies.
I was just, my mom's birthday is coming up. I was trying to figure out, what I can get her sorted. Brilliant.
Which one? Brigitte Lahaye naked or American Pie 2?
Why not both? Spoil her,
This is true.
She's earned it.
Ben is now saying he was kidding about Silent Night. All right, Ben, we got you. So American Pie 2 is getting the deluxe 4K treatment, just like the first American Pie did. This will be coming on May 19th on 4K Blu-ray in the UK. This is going to have like a ton of extras, genuinely. I think all of the extras that are out there for this are on this. It will have 4K remasters of both the theatrical and the unrated version in 4K, which is really nice if you are into this series. How about yourself? Are you into the American Pie series?
I really like the first American Pie, like unironically. I think it's really good. I think it's like a kind of I know they always talk about like, oh, you can't make a movie like this these days. I don't think that's strictly true about American Pie, but I just think it is a movie that doesn't get made.
Right.
I feel like it's super of its time, but in like a really beautiful way. And yeah, I think it's really, really great. They subsequently get less great. But even still, I don't dislike any of them, I don't think. Plus, even at the worst, there's titties, so I can't argue with that.
And now we're making the shirt for Krit right now. At the worst, at least there's titties.
Yeah.
Travis says, kind of want at least the first American Pie on 4K. Well, they released it on 4K late last fall, and when they saw that it was profitable, you'll see what we're about to talk about, which is American Pie for the next 8 minutes. The hard part is the deluxe edition of the first American Pie sold out very quickly, and now a standard edition was just released. You can go check it out.
Are these released, because I've just noticed this is like basically for all of them, are they like quite thick? Like thicker than a regular Blu-ray?
Yes. For the deluxe ones, yes.
Because, listen, I don't care about this series that much, but I feel like I want to own all of these because I think it looks ridiculously funny on a shelf to have just this massive section of your shelf dedicated to 4K American Pie.
They are thick like the Vinegar Syndrome VSUs. They are like 2.5, maybe even 3 Blu-ray cases thick.
That is hilarious.
Well, and they've got like art cards and everything, and a big like perfect bound book. These are crazy releases.
Art cards, you say?
Yes, for American Pie.
Oh, I know what kind of art cards they are. The French kind.
No, they're not that gross. Well, if that's not enough for you, they're also doing American Wedding,
Hell
which
yeah.
we called it over here in the US, and I guess they call it American Pie The Wedding in the UK. For some reason, though, this is only a Blu-ray, which is odd.
Boo.
Not sure why that's happening, but you are going to get a ton of extras on this as well. And yes, this is a deluxe collector's edition. Again, another thick release. And yet again, if that's not enough, American Reunion from 2012 is getting the deluxe collector's edition. Also a Blu-ray, not 4K. All of these have the theatrical and unrated version, by the way. Tons of extra features. This is so many releases. But somehow, if you still want more American Pie, there is this deluxe collector's edition, which includes Bandcamp, The Naked Mile, Beta House, and The Book of Love, all on their own disc, all with a bunch of extras, all with the R-rated and unrated versions, all on Blu-ray. May 19th is the day of American Pie.
Yep. So if you want to see all the worst American Pies, they have them conveniently in all one place.
Except they forgot the one female-led American Pie movie that just came out a handful of years ago, and that somehow does not surprise me that still continues.
Wow. We must overcome this systemic oppression of women in the American Pie series.
I have a feeling that 88 Films would just call that a feature. Anyways, let's go to their next release, which is Crime Story from 1993, the Jackie Chan film, getting a 4K and a Blu-ray release on May 26th. This one's odd because we don't have enough information about this. There's likely going to be new extras. I believe Frank Jang is doing a new commentary on this. And then this Blu-ray, they'd already released this on Blu-ray like 5 or 6 years ago. I have a feeling that this is going to be the remastered version of this coming out and not just the old version of the Blu-ray. So check this out, May 26th, over in the UK only, as far as I can tell.
Oh, suck it. That's what you get for not watching Better Man.
We have like 43 stores that will carry this. I think we'll be okay.
No. I'm going to call every single one of them.
Well, I mean, I kind of need to see Better Man to make sure that's the case.
Yeah, it's true. I think you'll like it.
I'm sure I will. The music it sounds great from what I've been able to see so far. Let's go. I need to stop typing a comment in response to dude in the chat. There you go, dude. Going to our next announcement is Sour Party. Oh, this is our last announcement from Anchor Bay, coming on June 10th in the US. Anchor Bay, not the Anchor Bay of old. So this one says Gwen and James are two broke, self-absorbed, emotionally stunted 30-somethings eking their way through a meager LA existence. They've tried everything to get rich quick, from cliche artistic endeavors and failed business startups to sex work, playing the victims all the way. When Gwen realizes she forgot her older sister's baby shower the night before, she's determined to save face in front of her family and get her sister a proper gift from the registry. After putting their heads together, Gwen and James assemble a list of people they believe owe them money and set out on a twisted road trip across LA in an attempt to collect on their debts. What begins as a journey to confront the ghosts of their past quickly shifts gears as Gwen and James realize maybe they're not the victims after all. Maybe they've just been throwing themselves a sour party.
This movie has Corey Feldman. Just so you know, that's all I really have to add. It has modern day Corey Feldman. Also, I believe there's a Nicolas Cage sculpture in this movie.
So basically, you're saying it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's funny. Maybe not in the way they're intending, but it does sound like it's going to be funny.
This does say it's a female-led comedy in the vein of Superbad.
Maybe don't say that.
Anyways, now that we went through all of the announcements, we always go through a reminder of what's coming out next week. Next week is the big one for people that have been waiting on Panic Room for ages.
Oh yeah.
Panic Room on 4K coming out next week. You can get the Social Network on 4K in a steelbook, finally out of the ashes of the Columbia Classics box set. Nosferatu 4K coming out next week. Uncle Buck 4K from Kino Lorber. Constantine 4K from the studio. Drugstore Cowboy 4K from Criterion. Summer Rental to go with your Uncle Buck, also coming from Kino. Humanoids from the Deep 4K from Scream Factory. Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, coming out on Steelbook and Standard. The Order, which I've heard is great. Did you get to see The Order?
I did not know.
I've heard it's incredible, and I need to track it down.
The problem is Jude Law's hairline scares me.
Maybe it's a horror movie.
It might be.
Let's see. After that, Crossing Delancey 4K from Criterion. Legend of the Eight Samurai from Eureka. Slam Dunk 4K from Shout. September 5 getting released next week. Francis from Kino Lorber. Last Summer from Altered Innocence. Furious from Visual Vengeance. Evil Dead Rise 4K Steelbook getting a release in the US,
Sweet.
even though it already got a release in the UK. Are You Being Served? The movie, the British comedy coming up from Kino Lorber. Panda Plan, the newest Jackie Chan movie where he does not look great on the cover.
He doesn't look great in real life either, if that helps.
That does help quite a bit, actually. Naked Axe coming from Milestone Pictures next week. I need to pick that one up for sure. That is it. There's some MGM re-releases that are coming on BDR if you're into those. Some smaller titles. Any of these you're excited for or want?
More towards the top. I'm excited for Nosferatu on 4K. I'll probably get the Steelbook if I can. The Social Network 4K. Definitely the Panic Room 4K as well. I love Panic Room. So it's a super underrated. Well, it's stupid to say it's an underrated movie. Because it kind of isn't. But like, because it's a Fincher movie, it's against like some of the best movies of all time. So it's like it gets lost in the shuffle really easily.
Right.
You know, when you're talking about David Fincher. Because obviously then you're talking about Seven and Fight Club and Gone Girl, and the Social Network and Zodiac and all of this stuff. So something like Panic Room slips through the cracks. But I think Panic Room is so good.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I'm very, very curious to check out the 4K here. Sibner wanted to point out Last Summer, I just said, is Altered Innocence. It's Janus Contemporary, not Altered Innocence. Totally forgot. I was thinking of their other release that's about to drop, Endless Summer Syndrome, which I need to get from Diabolic. Stan is asking if that's all the announcements. Yeah, it's a pretty short week for announcements. We only had like 36, which is a short week in physical media.
Well, the important part is that Better Man is getting a physical release.
In the US even, where it barely had any play in the theaters.
I will say, because it came out on digital or whatever recently, I have been seeing on Twitter a bunch of like people finally like giving in and seeing it because it's just more readily available. They don't have to go out and see it. And people are loving it. I don't think I've seen one single negative review without trying to seek one out, like going onto Letterboxd and looking at the lower reviews. But like just randomly coming across people talking about Better Man, I don't think I've seen a single negative thing being said about it.
I would agree. I have not seen anything.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, and it's Paramount Presents, which is very weird.
Yeah.
Sib says, what were those other mod titles? They're not, I mean, I guess they probably are mod, but they're BDR titles. They're not great. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick in my history. They've got, let's see, next week. So it is The Naked Maja from 1958, Outpost in Malaya from 1952, Lady of Vengeance from 1957, Twilight Time from 1982, Inserts from 1975, and then the lone one that sticks out like crazy, Uptown Girls with Brittany Murphy from 2003.
Okay. Is that a good movie? I like Brittany Murphy, and I like the song Uptown Girl. But
And Dakota Fanning's in it. She's pretty decent.
oh yeah, I mean, she must have been young back then, though, right?
Very, very young.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like a year before Man on Fire.
It's
Yeah.
it's got to be
Yeah.
around there.
My Denzel Rolodex, you know.
2003 seems like it was late for that, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, wait there. Man on Fire. Yep, Man on Fire, 2004.
You are right.
My Denzel knowledge never fails.
All right. So our conversation tonight, because it is now officially Valentine's Day in the UK and Australia, and about to be on the East Coast in an hour of the US, we're going to talk about unconventional romance films. So, why do you like romance films, Mr.
I love romance. I love love. I think it's sloppy, but it's cute. It makes me feel good. And I think it's weird because horror movies are my favorite genre, but my second favorite genre would be rom-coms. I just think there's something very special about love and the human connection. And seeing how different artists, not just filmmakers but actors and stuff like that, can display how that emotion looks to them.
Right.
For us, I think is a beautiful thing.
So you mentioned rom-coms. Rom-coms are your favorite.
Mhm.
Just so everybody can get a general grasp on you, what are a couple of your favorite rom-coms?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I super love like the silly teen rom-coms like Clueless, stuff like that. I really like Clueless. Just to put it
Me
out there, I
too.
super love Clueless. Buffalo 66. Oh, I thought he was saying Buffalo 66 as in like his favorite rom-com, and I was like, I think we watched a different movie. Just take a quick. I'm taking a quick look at my top 100 to cheat. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, if that counts. It's more comedy than rom, but still. Oh, Rye Lane. I can't believe I forgot it. Rye Lane was my top movie of 2023, and it still is. I absolutely love Rye Lane. I think more people should see it. It's a perfect movie. 10 out of 10. Crazy Stupid Love. Paul's just put in there. I rewatched that the other day.
It's
Crazy.
great.
I like, because again, back to what I was saying earlier with the question of the day, my server being like, what's a comedy that should have been nominated for Best Picture in its year? Crazy Stupid Love, I think, should have been nominated in its given year for Best Picture. It is ridiculously funny. Like, it's stupidly funny. Everyone is operating on 11 in that movie, and the dinner party scene,
It's brilliant.
I nearly wrote a whole video. I did start this on just that scene because I think it's like probably the best written comedic exchange of the 2010s.
Yeah.
It is so perfectly built towards and paid off. Everyone is great in it. It has about 10 different moments within 5 minutes that are maybe the funniest thing you've ever seen. It's brilliant. I love Crazy Stupid Love.
So, any criteria for what makes an unconventional romance film?
Okay, so when I was curating my list, I tried to pick movies that, one, depicted romance as not always this beautiful, colorful thing. Like, because romance is complicated. And it, but I also wanted it to, like, when you think of said movie, your first initial thought maybe isn't romance.
Right.
It's something else. But there's an element in that movie that is strongly romantic, that I think is at the core of making the movie work. And if it's not in that movie, the movie doesn't really work.
Well said.
So,
well said.
That's where I'm going with that.
Well, we're doing a list of 10 tonight, so this is going to be a long conversation. So let's just dive right in then. What is your number 10, sir?
Okay. I will just say my number 10 was The Shape of Water. And about, I don't know, a couple hours ago. I got rid of it because I thought of one that should have been in the list that for some reason wasn't in the list, and I had to throw it in there. So my number 10 now is Punch Drunk Love, which is probably the most conventional romance movie on my list. But I still think it is fairly unconventional. I rewatched it the other day because I cracked open my Criterion for it. There's something like so special about the romance in Punch Drunk Love that like it's built around this almost fairy tale romance that's not real. Like it doesn't feel like it's tangible in this world. And I think that's simply just the way PTA shoots it. He shoots this movie unlike any other movie he's ever made. It just feels like it's in a different world. But when it's just the two of them, it's so beautifully grounded. And I know he wrote this movie for Adam Sandler. And I watched this with my girlfriend. I showed it her for the first time. She did not enjoy it as much as I loved it because she's stupid sometimes. So I was trying to say that like I can tell that it's written for Adam Sandler because like his character is so man baby. Like every Adam Sandler movie before this, it's incredibly man baby. But there's a sincerity to it that's not present in any of the other man baby roles he does. You know, like I think PTA saw something in that, and he saw like a realness in that absurd comedy that Adam Sandler does. And he managed to just manifest it in a way that no one has since. Like it's so beautifully like real. And yeah, just like him being so angry and so lost in this incredibly fantastical world, finding the one person on this planet that doesn't make him feel like an alien, I think is beautiful. So yeah, Punch Drunk Love, great movie.
Not to mention as the magic ticket of Luis Guzman, who makes every movie amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and oh my god, I've forgotten his name.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
There we go. In my head, I was going Robin Williams. No,
not quite.
No. Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman, the great Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, this was very close to making it on my list. Probably the only reason it doesn't is because I haven't watched it in a handful of years. This is a great movie. Maybe up there for my favorite PTA.
I think it's my favorite PTA.
I feel like my favorite PTA is always the last one I watched.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I think it's strongly been my favorite PTA for a while.
Yeah. God, yeah. I'm now looking at my list and I'm like, I want to do like 37 of these. This is rough. Number 10, I went with what is a very unconventional one and still one that I'm surprised is out there for when it came out. Maggie Gyllenhaal in Secretary is my pick.
Oh, okay.
I like this for so many different reasons. For displaying a different kind of love and taboo sex that we don't normally get in films like this. Relationship between James Spader and her that was authentic and felt like it was full of chemistry. Just have always loved the core of this film and how you see Maggie Gyllenhaal develop from somebody that was really like broken down at the beginning of the movie and turning into a strong, making choices for herself type of woman by the end of this film, which is not something that she would have seen herself doing at the beginning. I think the acting in this is freaking legendary. The way that these two pull off essentially a BDSM relationship in the open in a big mainstream movie would not have been easy to do, especially when stuff like this, like you don't get many movies to compare this to. So it's not the type of thing where you could say, well, I'm going to harness X character from X movie and pull off that same sort of feeling. It's not the same thing as, 50 Shades of Grey. This is much more proper in that idea. And Spader's always been fucking hot in the stuff that he's done, and Maggie Gyllenhaal is incredibly hot in this movie. They both just go together really well. The workplace romance, the costuming in this film, even the office itself is put together in a very unique, like appealing to the eye type of format. And then wild ending. Love this movie. I think people should check it out. Secretary is great.
James Spader's so good in this movie. Also, Osgood Perkins is in this movie.
I don't think I remembered that.
Yeah. He plays the character Jonathan.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, my first experience with this movie is seeing the cover of it in HMV, which is like a chain store here. Yep. All the time when I was a kid, because I used to go in there to buy like CDs and stuff with my dad, and I remember seeing the cover like for so long, and then I remember getting to the age where like I could actually see that movie. I went into HMV and I bought it. I was not disappointed. It's a great movie.
Good. I'm glad it lived up to the years of expectations. All right, then, your number 9.
My number 9 is a movie I rewatched last night, which is Audition.
Unconventional indeed.
Yeah, right. This sounds crazy, doesn't it? But
I love this choice.
Here's the thing about Audition. Okay, what you'll hear about Audition, okay, is that it's always on like the top 10 Japanese horror movies, top 10 most gory movies of all time, and stuff like that. That's what you'll hear about it, and then you'll watch it, and for the first 40, 50, maybe an hour, you will be confused as to why. Because this movie is almost too conventionally romantic. Like, you go into it, and it's about a guy that has just lost his wife. Right? And he becomes a single dad, and he raises a kid by himself. Does this sound familiar yet? Because this could be Sleepless in Seattle for all I care. And when his kid's a little bit older, his kid says to his dad, "You need to get yourself back out there." And the dad decides, yes, now is the time for love. So what they do is, him and his friend, they set up this screwball idea, to audition for a movie, but the audition is a Trojan horse to find this guy love. It sounds like a killer rom-com idea, right? This is like a great elevator pitch for a Tom Hanks movie. And then the rest of the movie, I mean, honestly, to be fair, actually, that's not even true, because even after he finds this woman that it's love at first sight also. Granted, he sees her and he's instantly infatuated. He knows this is the one. And then they go on like a date or two, and it goes extremely well. The dates are actually really cute. They're really funny, charming. They have great chemistry. And then the third act happens. And then, see, this is the thing, right? People are saying, but she doesn't love him. We don't actually know that. We don't. Because one, in the event that she's, lobbing off his foot or whatever, she does explicitly say during that he loves other people. He's just the same as everyone else. So she genuinely could have feelings for him, but that is not going to stop her from doing what she does. But two, this is all ambiguous. The timeline is completely ambiguous because you don't actually know whether that is the real timeline or not.
Well, and even that, like Sibner's next comment was, that's like saying Single White Female is a love story. The funny thing is, it is a love story for one of the characters. That's what makes this an unconventional romance, because it is not like a regular love story. This is not just love stories. This is unconventional romance.
Yeah. So there's 2 final timelines of this movie, and it's up to you to like kind of figure out which one you think is the real one, because he falls asleep in both timelines and wakes up in the other one. So you never quite know what's a dream and what's real. So that's great. But even in the timeline where things aren't so great for him, there is still the idea that she could actually have feelings for him. But even if she doesn't, like you say, he is nonetheless completely romantically obsessed with this woman. And it is a movie about finding love and about accepting love and stuff like that. So it's a very unconventional romance movie that I genuinely think for maybe the first hour and 10 might be the most conventional romance movie ever made.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Reading that comment. Anyways, let's go to the next one. No, I love Audition. I think it's an incredible movie. I think that more people need to see it. I feel like it's not talked about enough anymore. I know a handful of years ago it was still on people's minds because Arrow had released it and it was a big focus, but it's a great movie. It can be a hard watch, but it's a great movie.
I watched it on the Arrow release. My only thing about the Arrow release is I hate the Arrow cover.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's so ugly. I just reversed it to the regular one.
The poster is much better.
Yeah.
My number 9, I could see some people calling it a conventional romance, but the uniqueness of the story clearly makes it unconventional. And the hard part is I'm not going to dive too much into the plot because it's going to sound nonsensical, but we're just going to go there. And this one's interesting because I don't love Jim Jarmusch that much, but I got to bring up Only Lovers Left Alive. This movie is oozing with style. Incredible cast in this. Tilda Swinton is amazing. Tom Hiddleston is great. Anton Yelchin, perfect in everything that he does. Mia Wasikowska is in this. Jeffrey Wright is in this. John Hurt is in this. This movie is maybe a little overlong, but other than that, one of the enjoyable Jarmusch films for me. Absolutely love this movie. The like centuries long relationship and budding romance here is great. I love that it gets tested in this. I love that you can feel the desire in multiple scenes of this movie in a way that is not exactly seen in other films. And for those that don't know, I guess it's not much of a spoiler to say this is a vampire movie, and that's the biggest thing that makes this super unique. Only Lovers is probably the best Jim Jarmusch film, in my opinion.
I've not seen this.
It's great, especially some people that made it pretty big after this. Obviously, Tom Hiddleston blew up like crazy. I don't see him doing this movie, 4 years after this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
It is excellent. It again slightly overlong. It's just over 2 hours. This movie probably only needed to be like an hour 40. But other than that, this movie's excellent. The way this thing is filmed, like modern Gothic in a way, which
Nice.
isn't too common. I think people would like it if you've never seen it. I love this movie. Need to see it. It's been a long time since I've watched it.
Yeah, I mean the only Jim Jarmusch movies I've seen is Ghost Dog, which I love. Ghost
Great
Dog's
movie.
incredible. Dead Man and Patterson.
Patterson's good too.
Yeah. Is Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston the romantic duo in this movie?
Yes.
Man, there's not a single lip in that whole relationship. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is a fun double feature with Crimson Peak. I would say that. Also an unconventional romance with shared actors. That is true.
I'm knocking stuff over. My bad.
All right. Number 8 on your list.
Number 8 on my list is First Reformed.
Oh my God, I love this movie. I would not think of this as a romance movie, so I can't wait to hear this argument.
So, obviously, the movie isn't about romance. It's about like this priest. However, he does meet a woman along this journey, Mary, Seyfried's character, and there's a tragic event that pulls them together. I'm not going to say which because it doesn't happen within like the first act, I don't think. So I can't really divulge that, but it does bring them together very strongly. And you'll see oftentimes in a lot of romance movies and a lot of love movies, something that brings a lot of people together is tragedy, and a lot of people find love in tragedy, Phoenix from the ashes and all that stuff. And Paul Schrader often does these sequences in his movies because he has incredibly grounded movies. But in every movie or so, there's always one scene that's like very fantastical, that feels like it belongs in a different movie.
Yeah. And
in this movie, you will know exactly what sequence it is, but it's between Ethan Hawke's character and Amanda Seyfried, and they kind of just enter this different world in each other's company, and it's completely beautifully shot. It is maybe one of the most romantic things that I've ever seen put to screen, and there's little to no dialogue in the sequence at all. And I have to put this here because that's what real love feels like. I think Paul Schrader put to screen exactly the feeling of being with someone you love. And I think it's absolutely beautiful for him to have slid that into this movie. Also, the way Mary conducts herself in this movie completely changes the way what's his name? Pastor Tola. The way Pastor Tola operates. His entire plan in the third act is foiled and completely changed, even though it's an incredibly radical plan. Changes completely at the last minute simply due to her presence. And that is, again, what love feels like. That you are doing that all the time. You have maybe a grand plan for yourself, but this other person not gets in the way, but changes your outlook on those plans. And I think that's inherently romantic. So yeah, that's my argument for this movie.
So basically, it's like one scene makes this unconventional romance film.
I mean, no, because I think their relationship is incredibly important to the movie. And if it's not in the movie's not the same. Not even close to the same.
That's true.
He needs her as like an anchor in this movie. But that one scene especially does kind of sell it to me as that.
That makes sense. Yeah, I adore this movie. This may be my favorite Schrader film. It's my favorite modern Schrader film.
It's my favorite Schrader film, for sure.
There's a couple classics that might touch it, but other than those, I mean, this blows things like the card counter out of the water. It's not even the same filmmaker.
I mean, this is my favorite Schrader film that he's directed. Not my favorite that he's written. Right. That should be stated, since he is both. I just absolutely love The Last Temptation of Christ, which is in itself an unconventional romance movie, but I didn't feel like doing blasphemy today. So
maybe next week.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 8. This one is probably one of two that somebody could argue is a very conventional pick for me. This is from 2009, and actually my second Maggie Gyllenhaal film on the list. She's not starring, though. This is Away We Go. This is John Krasinski and Maya Rudolph. They are moving closer to be with John Krasinski's parents, and what's interesting is they are looking to find a place to live after his parents decide to leave, to find like a support structure, because they are about to have a child. And being a parent myself, this movie hits really damn hard. This movie is incredible. It has like one of the best casts on any like silly comedy. Like I said, John Krasinski, Maya Rudolph, but it also has Catherine O'Hara, Jeff Daniels, Allison Janney, Jim Gaffigan. like I said, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and then Melanie Linsky is great in this. She's always been incredible too. But the weirdest thing, this is directed by Sam Mendes. This movie's great because it's more like the parents falling for each other in a way through hardship, which speaks so much to me over the last couple of years. Everything that has cropped up in my life since about 2019 with raising two kids with special needs and having multiple surgeries myself and multiple surgeries for my wife, and having no support system around us to having support system move here to try to be closer to us. This movie means a lot to me. It is a fairly by the book comedy, but the romance aspect is two people that are continuously falling for each other because things are so wrong, and it's not done in like a tropey way or off the wall, like I don't know, it's not like slapstick necessarily. It's very realistic in that way. And it's just two people that genuinely love each other, which is not something you would see in a movie like this normally. It would be like bickering the whole way and, oh, they found each other at the end, blah, blah, blah. There's not a lot of cliches. This movie is kind of bonkers in some of the scenes that they go through with the people around them that they know, and it's not really talked about anymore. I know that's only like 16 years old, but this movie came at an indie time for John Krasinski, obviously, with The Office happening. Maya Rudolph was at the height of SNL, and a lot of these people had not hit some of their like most well-known spots yet. And it's kind of an incredible film with everybody in this. So away we go. If you've never seen it, I think it's a really good, especially if you're a parent, Valentine's Day movie to check out.
So I'm just like, I was reading up on that movie. So it's funny that John Krasinski, right? Office. Yes. I was looking at the writers of this movie, and Dave Eggers is one of the writers who has directed 3 short films, if you didn't know this. And they're experimental short films about like actors basically like trashing rooms. It's super weird. And if like the first one has James Franco, but the second one has Creed Bratton, who plays Creed in The Office. And I just thought that was interesting.
That's perfect. Love that. And was it Sibner? Yeah, Sibner says good soundtrack. This has a great soundtrack. Lots of really, really great needle drops in this. Check it out. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I've just added it to my watch list.
Nice. I feel like knowing the movies you like, I think you're going to like this one a lot.
Okay, sweet.
Number 7.
My number 7 could also maybe, to someone that's kind of lazily remembering the movie, might consider it conventional. But it is Cha Cha Real Smooth. As anyone that may have followed me for any significant amount of time knows, I am Cha Cha Real Smooth's number 1 defender. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. What makes it so unconventional, is that it's a coming of age story, but about just one character rather than a couple or whatever. And he's turning 22 or 23, and whilst he's trying to figure out his life, he gets this babysitting gig for this autistic girl whose mother is Dakota Johnson. So naturally, he falls very much in love with her. And she's kind of unhappy with her place in life. So she entertains this kind of possible romance. And he falls very, very hard for her. Whereas she dabbles in and out of it because she has a life, she has a daughter, she has a husband, and all this stuff. But the age gap is kind of significant. I think she's like maybe late 30s, early 40s. Meanwhile, he's just fresh into his 20s. And it is beautiful. The romance in it is very nice. But obviously what makes it so unconventional is she is not committed to this romance. And the reality is he isn't really either. He's not ready for what he thinks he is. You know, he's just figuring himself out, and this is his first voyage into adult love, you know, into like actual tangible romance. And I think it really represents how messy love can be, and how attachment and infatuation can be easily misconstrued, you know, as a solid foundation of a relationship. Because realistically, these people are just not meant for each other. They are not going to end up together, and that is completely unconventional for romance movies. It's all about the star-crossed lovers, and it's all about people that are meant to be, and all about people that make it work no matter what. But these are just two people that are incompatible, that want to be compatible for their own personal reasons, that have kind of nothing to do with each other. Yeah, and I think that the romance in this movie, even though it is secondary to pretty much what the movie's going for, is still very foundational to what makes it work. And yeah, it's super unconventional. It's beautiful.
It's been on my list for almost 3 years. I definitely need to
It's
see
so
this.
good. It is absolutely fantastic. And also, I think, obviously, with your experiences of being a parent and stuff, and with your child having like difficulties and stuff like that, I think you'll really appreciate it. I think the autistic representation in this movie is maybe some of the best autistic representation I've seen in media. Like, I'm trying to remember the daughter's name. I think it's like Lily or something like that, or Lola. She's incredibly intelligent, and not in like the savant way that Rain Man is.
We're not counting toothpicks. Got it.
No, she's like, she's just kind of, she's socially awkward, but incredibly socially aware. You know, she's not just blind to everything. She understands her place and what other people mean to her. Like, it's treated as if this person has actually met someone with autism before, and not just kind of made up this idea. So yeah, that's besides the point of the romance, but yeah, it's just a fantastic movie. I really think you should see it.
I will. Yeah, like I said, this has been on the list for a while. It's been on the radar. I've liked Dakota Johnson in a handful of things, and I've heard that she's incredible in this. So
this is like what, because you'll watch a movie with Dakota Johnson in it, and you'll think like, I can't believe she gets paid. And then every now and then you'll watch a movie and you'll be reminded that she's actually a really good actress. And this is like one of those movies. Daddy-O as well, just pointed out in the comments, is also one of those movies that made it to like my top 10 of last year, and people were upset because no one watched it. But it's Daddy-O's super good.
Nice. My number 7 is probably like one of the most expected ones on this list.
Mm-hmm.
A movie that I've loved since the day I saw it. And what's funny is, I think the first time I saw this, this is so dumb to admit, but was on the screen of an iPod Classic while working. And it was only because I was like dying to see this movie and I didn't have time at home. So I was like, man, I can watch this at work. And then of course it's this beautiful, colorful movie. And I have to go watch it later. Yes, it's Nymphomaniac. No, no, this is 2013's, and actually somebody in the chat brought this up earlier. Her. I had to bring up Her. Joaquin Phoenix is incredible in this, directed amazingly by Spike Jonze. Scarlett Johansson plays the voice of the assistant. And this movie has been sort of brought up again by a handful of people that I read sometimes this year, based on another film that just came out in the last month or so. I'm not going to say anything to spoil that other film, but I mean, this movie is incredible. It hits on so many things, like the isolating world that we've created through the internet and how much communities can matter. And I love so much about the supplemental performances in this that really props it up and questions Joaquin in a few scenes, and supports him and then doesn't support him, and blah blah blah. Like, there's so much that there's just really great nuance in this relationship shown on screen, which is something that could have been very easy to screw up for a movie like this. And it's treated with respect. It's treated with this kind of like retro futurist design of desire meeting science fiction in a way that is kind of difficult to convey. Um, everything about this movie is astonishing. It was ahead of its time. It is just really great to see. And then it also has Chris Pratt. That was a slight against Pratt, if anybody didn't recognize. This movie is great, and somehow, like, I feel like many people have not seen it. I know that it's, what, 2012, 2013, so it's a little over 10 years old now. I feel like many people just have not had a chance to watch this properly, and it's so pretty. It's just a beautiful movie.
It is. Yeah, I do think it is completely unconventional. Especially with the way it ends. Obviously, not going to spoil the way it ends.
Right.
But yeah, I think its final act really does submit it in the unconventional area. But I think just what it means for romance in general and its messagings on romance are completely unconventional. So yeah.
And just relationships, building that on communication and everything about that in a way that it has to because of the nature of the film. Anyways, I can talk about her for the next half hour. What do you got at number 6, sir?
Well, I guess we're going to talk about her for the next half an hour because at my number 6 is her. That's why I didn't want to say too much. I think her is so beautiful. So beautiful. One, I think Scarlett Johansson in this movie is cold, hard proof that she has been wasted in the mainstream of the MCU and whatever else she's been doing other than Marriage Story. She is so absolutely brilliant in this movie just through a vocal performance. And, you know, you could be misconstrued as like this celebrity stunt casting or whatever to get attention on this movie. But she gives such a dynamic and honest performance in this movie that it rivals everyone that's on screen. And I think the film largely handles like the philosophy of what it is to love and have connection with people. And I think it probably handles that topic maybe better than any movie I've ever seen, better than maybe Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, because they are weirdly similar in that kind of avenue. It questions that because Samantha's AI. That's not really a spoiler. That's kind of the foundation of the movie. If her feelings are just programming, you know, because everyone says it's not real, you know, it's just programming. Why does that mean that her feelings are any lesser than our own? Because if our feelings are just based on experience and a chemical reaction in our brain, which is essentially just a computer anyway, it's our computer, what is really different about us than that? Isn't love just our programming, you know? So what makes their programming different to ours, and what is it any lesser? And does it even matter if it makes us happy? If we are in love, what difference does it actually make? And it kind of presents the selfishness of human connection and the selflessness of feeling. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. I think philosophically, it is one of the most dense movies I've ever seen on love. I also hate AI, by the way. But it's like, this isn't just generative AI. This is like an AI companion or whatever. Doesn't matter. But also, technically, this is kind of not on the side of AI, really.
Right.
So that's a thing. Because I remembered like someone saying that this is aged really terribly, and I was like, I think it's actually aged fantastically.
Yeah.
I think it's the complete opposite. I think current developments have really moved in this movie's favor.
I would agree. And that's why, like, there's a movie that just came out that is being compared to this and kind of in a different version of this because it's aged so perfectly. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, absolutely stellar movie. Couldn't agree more.
It's like the definition of unconventional romance too, because you could talk about how the idea behind romance movies is it's two people willingly entering into a romance together, and this is kind of the story of how one person can be that romance, and that's enough to make it a compelling story, and a compelling romance story at that.
Also, it kind of builds off the same idea as Cha-Cha Real Smooth, like in the idea that the romance is kind of fictionalized by the people involved just because that's what they need at that time.
Right.
More specifically Joaquin Phoenix's character, but even still, like Samantha, the AI voice, even in some way does also need that romance. To build her programming and stuff like that, and to experience anything, because she's new to the world or whatever. But specifically Joaquin Phoenix's Theodore, like he needs this romance more than he needs it to be real. So I think it builds off the same idea as Cha-Cha Real Smooth in that aspect.
I would agree. Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
My number 6 is again one that could possibly be looked at as semi-conventional, but this isn't even the other one I was talking about. This is very non-conventional when you break down the story. This is I don't even know how to explain this. 2006's Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell and my third Maggie Gyllenhaal film on the list. That was not planned, by the way. I adore this movie. This is about a man named... Ooh, I don't remember his name, but it's a very funny name. He is played by Will Ferrell, and suddenly he starts hearing a narrator describing his action and moving his life in a way that he starts to like question free will on what's coming, and is he the one actually controlling this? And he turns out to find that there's a person writing his story that he is living out, and this is where it starts to break into this non-conventional romance situation where he and Maggie Gyllenhaal are like being pushed together and not. And one of my favorite scenes in an unconventional romance film ever is when he shows up with like 34 different paper bags and says, "I brought you flowers."
Yeah,
it's such a romantic move, man. That's such an incredible. Thanks, Dan and Ronnie. Harold Crick is his name. I've always loved that name. This movie is all being orchestrated by Emma Thompson with some great supporting cast. Dustin Hoffman is incredible in this. Queen Latifah, very good in this.
Queen Latifah.
Yeah. This movie is just really, really fun. It takes some interesting turns that you can't see coming because of the way they've set up the whole he's living out the story. I feel again like people overlook this because of who Will Ferrell is, like funny joke man, but no, this is one of Will Ferrell's best films, and
this is in some ways his
incredible.
Punch Drunk Love.
Yep, 100%. Even down to the blue jacket.
Yep, it's fantastic. It's really good. Also, I just love everyone involved in this cast.
Yeah, it's really great cast.
It's so good. Dustin Hoffman obviously is Dustin Hoffman. Maggie Gyllenhaal, fantastic. Will Ferrell, fantastic. Queen Latifah, unironically.
Tony Hale is in this too. Forgot about him.
Yeah, Tony Hale, fantastic.
Always
Emma Thompson, one of my favorite actresses of all time. She just has this incredible aura about her. Whenever Emma Thompson is on screen, I feel like I'm watching one of the greats, which I am, but it's like she gives me the same feeling as seeing like Sir Patrick Stewart on screen. Like it feels like a special thing when she's on screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, so good.
Nice.
I need to rewatch this soon.
All right. Top half then. Your number 5.
My number 5 is first, maybe only, but I'm gonna go with first noir movie, which is Double Indemnity. Doesn't need much explaining. Obviously, super unconventional because of the circumstances in which they fall in love. Their romance is under incredibly bizarre pretenses. And obviously it's a noir movie. It's a mystery, a detective story. I can't really say much about it without spoiling it. But yeah, I think our two leads, in obviously Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray. I feel like that's his name.
Right,
yeah, incredible chemistry. From the instant they're both on screen together, it gets very hot in the room. They have just it's a hate story, kind of. But yeah,
it's unconventional.
Yeah, I like it's hard to speak about why it's unconventional without spoiling the entire movie. So
Right.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, it's a perfect movie and everyone should see it.
It, I mean, quite literally is a perfect movie, and everybody should see it. We should at least mention the name Billy Wilder for a
I was
second.
gonna say it's my favorite Billy Wilder movie as well.
Yeah, great choice. I, for some reason, skewed very, very modern with most of my shtick. So, yeah, I don't have anything like this. So, good choice.
Mm.
My number 5, though, is one that I know that you also love. This is a movie from so long ago, like 17 months. 2023's Past Lives. Immediately jumped up as one of my favorite movies from this decade. Magnificently directed, telling an immigrant story that means so much, considering I work for immigration in my day-to-day life, and the rise of John Magaro, who is fucking incredible in this movie as essentially the third wheel. Also, I can't wait for everybody to see him in Omaha this year. Incredible movie. Past Lives is a modern masterpiece telling the story of why two people don't love each other. And in that sense, it is so fucking romantic because they are essentially connected through every single strand except for in the here and now. And based on that, you hurt for them without realizing, like, no, they're both happy. Like, why do I hurt for this? This is so interesting that we could hear this story told in a way that, you know, separates the man in the relationship that's a trusting relationship. He trusts his wife to go alone with this person that used to be with them. Everything about this story, you expect those tropes to come out of, oh, she's with him and now she's going to choose him just because they spent a night walking around New York, or they're going to come back and it's going to rekindle and now it's going to be problems. No, it's just people realizing timing isn't everything, and this is not exactly how it's meant to be, and love is still love, and everything about this movie is goddamn perfect. I love this movie so much. It's hard to even put into words because the three of them are so earnest in their performances, and specifically there's something, especially in our two leads, there's something with their eyes in this film, which they, like, you feel their story in a way that you don't get through a lot of the films that we're talking about tonight even. It's beautiful stuff. If you somehow missed Past Lives, go check it out. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I don't have Past Lives on my list. I wanted to, but I felt like I just couldn't slot it in anywhere. But bearing in mind, everything on my list, I give 5 stars. Like, I think every movie on my list is a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
So it's hard to get anything in there. And Past Lives is also a 10 out of 10 to me. Maybe like one of my favorite videos I've made, top 3 possibly, is on Past Lives. Incredibly dense and beautiful movie. Just a great story about inconvenient soulmates. Which is probably the most succinct way I could possibly put the purpose of the movie. But yeah, it's such a good pick.
All right, then. Number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me is the third in a trilogy, which is Before Midnight.
My number 4 is Before Sunrise.
So here's the thing. I put Before Midnight, even though it's my least favorite in the trilogy. And it's most people's least favorite in the trilogy, I think. But I still give it a 10 out of 10. I still think it's perfect. And people who don't like, there's people who actively don't like this movie, but like the other two. And I think you people are cowards. The thing was, with Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, I thought they were more conventional than Before Midnight, because
Clearly, yeah.
Before Midnight really, like, this is probably my second favorite trilogy of all time. Before Midnight is about like this couple that have been idyllic their entire relationship. You know, their love story is really one out of a movie, out of a book, you know, and they've built this kind of just fairy tale romance out of their life. But now they're both middle-aged, they have kids, and they are looking back on this fairy tale that they've built, and they're both kind of realizing that it was never really that. That's just kind of what everyone's perception of it is. And now they're having actual real problems for the first time that we've seen in their relationship. This is the first time that it feels like they may not actually be perfect for each other. And I think for any actual sustainable relationship that anyone has ever had for any amount of time knows that this is kind of a significant period.
Yeah.
This happens in almost every single relationship where you both reach kind of a weird boiling point about whether this is actually you or not. And I think it handles it so magically, so beautifully, that like it shows even when people hate each other, they love each other, you know, and that's just is it for some people. And even the strongest amount of rejection and hate is not enough to push away the perfect human for you. And yeah, this is why people don't like this movie, because like it really challenges their perfect idyllic relationship.
Yeah.
And it puts it on just a bed of lava. And people don't like seeing like their favorite characters upset with each other. They don't like seeing them angry at each other, and, you know, possibly breaking up, divorcing, and all this stuff. And I think that's what makes this one special. I think if Richard Linklater had just made another movie where they are middle-aged and it is perfect and they just talk throughout an entire night and it's great, I think it would have gone stale. It would have gone stale. I think this was the perfect direction for the trilogy, and I think this is the movie that actually solidifies them as the perfect couple more so than the others, because of what they go through and survive. So, yes, Before Midnight.
I'm so glad you told that part first, because, yeah, like I said, my pick at number 4 is genuinely Before Sunrise. The thing that I did not see this one when it came out. Obviously, I was 8 years old, and imagining being in the theater and watching this developing, perfect communication, night long romance build, and then seeing them separate and thinking that there will never be any more development from that had to have been one of the most heartbreaking, like, couldn't we just have a cliched ending to this fucking story? I hate you, this is stupid type of films.
I cried about 4 times.
This movie is so just marvelous in how they bring these two together and then immediately separate them in a way that literally just like rips the Band-Aid off and makes you sit in that hurt emotion. And what I was going to say is essentially everything that you did is the only reason this feels so unconventional is because it sort of gets conventional a little bit in the middle of this now, multiple decade story, that it is giving you enough time to sit in these feelings and develop where you are dying to see what happens next. And then when that second one comes out, I can't imagine like the relief of waiting 8 or 9 years or whatever it was, and having that explode onto a screen in front of you and just feel all the emotions come back to you so quickly. And now you can watch it all in one afternoon, essentially, thanks to Criterion. I do not recommend that, by the way. You need to at least watch them on different days. This first one, though, is such a great setup to that emotional, jarring separation that it feels so real in a way that is unconventional, because obviously the whole story is, meeting somewhere in a foreign land and not being able to spend time with this person other than one night, and blah blah blah. The communication is perfect, all that, you fall for each other immediately. There's a lot of trope beginnings in there, but Linklater really never dives into the trope side of things. He kind of subverts all of those expectations, and it's just an incredible entry into film itself. And without the quote gimmick of actually taking the time and doing it with the same actors and years away, even without that, I think this is incredibly well done. It's amazing, great stuff. If you've never seen any of them, like Stan said earlier in the chat, you probably should at some point, if this sort of thing interests you at all. I know obviously Linklater gets the whole I have to have a gimmick to make a movie type of thing, like Boyhood that he's done. This is worth a lot more than a gimmick, I promise.
Yes. I think if you are a person that is at all caring about love depicted in movies, this trilogy should be in the top 5 of your priorities. I think it depicts love in such an honest and beautiful way, whilst also being completely idyllic and all this stuff. Did you know it was based on a real story, by the way?
I've never dove into that aspect, no.
Yeah, so it's based on an actual encounter that Richard Linklater had in Philadelphia with a woman that I think he met her in a toy shop. I think it was a toy shop.
That sounds very Linklater.
But he made the movie, so they did the whole. I'm pretty sure they did the whole thing where they agreed to meet up again, and she never showed up. So he made the movie in hopes that she would see it, and reach out, and they would do the whole thing, the same way that in Before Sunset he writes the book, right, and this whole thing. But the reason she never showed up was that she actually died. She died in a motorcycle accident. Yeah, so, and he didn't know until after the movie, and her friend had seen the movie, recognized the story from what her friend had told her, and wrote to him and told him about what happened. And I think that's such a bizarre and incredibly beautiful story just in and of itself.
Right.
And the way that it ties in with Richard Linklater's actual life, I think that's almost what puts that above his other work. It feels really personable. And yeah.
Good pick. And since ours were linked, that means we're back to your number 3.
Yeah. Okay, this is I know this is unconventional, I know it's a list, but you're gonna have to bear with me just in case, because I don't know how you're gonna react. It's Knock at the Cabin. And I know. Okay. I know. Okay, I get it. But I think it's valid.
Krit. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Let's hear it.
I think it's valid because so for those who don't know, the premise of Knock at the Cabin is that there's this gay couple, and that I'm not just saying that to say that it is important that they're gay. It's a whole plot point. This gay couple with a daughter, they go to this cabin in the middle of the woods for a vacation or whatever. But then these 4 people show up, one of them being Dave Bautista, who's the scariest man that's ever existed. And they basically say, listen, the apocalypse is coming. You two have to decide someone in this family has to die to prevent this apocalypse. And for every, so-and-so that you don't, There's going to be a cataclysmic event, and we're going to kill one of us. And the whole movie, you're trying to decide whether they're, chatting shit or not. But the reason why I think it works under this specific category is that the love between these two people is the reason that they're picked. Because the decision has to be difficult. And you have to explore their relationship very intensely. About like how each of their parents have reacted to their relationship, how both of them have dealt with prejudice and how that's led to exactly where they are and how they feel about each other. And yeah, Dave Bautista, I think his character in the movie, Leonard, he says quite literally at one point, this isn't because you're gay. It's because you are so strong as a family, because you love each other so much that you have been chosen. This has to be a difficult decision. And it can only be difficult if you two really do love each other. And you see this couple, and it's very difficult. Like, M. Night, I think, is super underrated as a writer. It's really, really difficult to develop a relationship, to make you really invest in a relationship when the circumstances are both of them are tied to a chair for the entire movie, and they are presented in such an unfamiliar and such bizarre circumstance. So they don't get to, just casually talk and build this relationship like every other love and romance movie gets to. They have to focus on exactly what they're doing. And this weird task at hand, and yet somehow by the end you are completely convinced of their relationship. You are completely convinced of their complete and utter devotion to each other, and they build this incredibly heartbreaking romance because kind of roughly what's going to happen. Something terrible has to happen to one of them, and by the end that becomes an unbearable thing for you to watch as a viewer. And that's because they built that relationship so well. And I think I can't really divulge what happens, but in whatever decision gets made in the end, they have this, back and forth. And it is so bizarrely romantic. It's so odd. Incredibly deeply sad in the only way that love can make you. So that is my pitch.
You sold me on it. The only thing I'd say that maybe could have helped a little bit is, yes, Bautista is one of the scariest guys in the world, but also these four people that come in, you have the scariest guy in the world and Ron Weasley. Like, you didn't even mention.
It's true. It's true. It is true. Also, granted, we say Bautista is the scariest human alive, but out of the group, he's actually the kindest one.
The kindest, most empathetic.
Yeah, he's like super gentle and the most sympathetic to the situation, and
most three-dimensional too, based on how they carry them out.
Yeah. So that's a thing as well. But yeah, that was my pitch.
Fun take. I mean, that's really all to say on that.
I've had to defend some crazy shit this list.
And it was done well. I mean, the whole fact that it literally just has to be a strong relationship that makes this work, it makes it a romance film. Well done.
If the relationship is weak, the movie doesn't work at all.
That's true. And they couldn't have been chosen anyways. Yeah. All right, so my number 3 is the other one that people are probably going to say is the most conventional on here, and I would agree, except for all of the sci-fi elements, which makes it maybe a little off-putting to people that are into trope-filled rom-coms, and that is 2020's Palm Springs, which is one of my favorite movies as well. Andy Samberg stars in this one brilliantly with Christine Milioti, who everybody knew this year from The Penguin. She's incredible in this movie. We also got J.K. Simmons doing some great stuff. Peter Gallagher's in this. Essentially, this is one of those Groundhog Day-esque movies where things keep repeating and they are trying to get out of it. But this movie is so much weirder than that because the the female lead hates our male lead, like
Mm-hmm.
with a burning passion. And it's not just he continues to break her down. No, it's in they're in like one of the worst situations possible. And based on, seeing the type of person that he is, a romance builds out of that. And the crazy thing, they're stuck near Vegas. They're stuck near Palm Springs. I did not mean to say Vegas, which is not like a great area. I know a lot of people go there for vacation, but it's kind of remote and isolated, which means the whole like juice of the story, they can't get very far away to do much based on when they're going to keep coming back to this one. But this entire film is like really brilliantly told, because a lot of the, I guess, lore aspects of it could have really just dwindled down into not being anything meaningful, and it somehow works and makes sense. And again, the most unconventional aspect of this here is that it is a truly like sci-fi movie at its heart, which you don't see through a lot of these. And the chemistry between the two leads is palpable, especially when it's negative. Like, you feel like she hates Andy Samberg's character. It is crazy how much she does. And the like attempted escape that they do multiple times is, I don't know, terrifying in a way, and hurts every single time when it doesn't work, obviously. But the way that this movie comes to bring them to a point where they are lost and this is their safe spot, and they have discovered that through finding out who each other are. I love this movie. I am depressed that this doesn't have a physical release. I feel like still a lot of people have not given this time. I think it's on Hulu still. This movie is amazing. Check out Palm Springs.
Yeah. Agree with everything you've said there. I think also what makes this an unconventional romance movie is that Andy Samberg is the lead.
I mean, he's pretty romantic in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I suppose.
All right, then. Top 2.
Okay. David Lynch time.
Nice.
Blue Velvet. No. I think there's a lot of David Lynch you could have picked. I think Wild at Heart I did consider at one point. But I picked Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive is my favorite David Lynch movie. I think very, very handedly as well. I watched it the day that he died. It is a perfect movie. And I really hope I understand it one day. I have seen this movie 3 times. And not a single time did I feel satisfied in knowing anything. I don't know a single thing that goes on in this movie. The only thing that I know about this movie is that it's about love. That is all I know. And I know that because that's what I feel. The love between whichever characters are on screen, whichever ones are real, whether it's Betty, Diane, Rita, Camille, whatever, any of them, the love feels real. At least on the side of like Betty and Diane and all this stuff. And obviously the movie has a lot of dream logic. It has a lot of dreamlike qualities, and therefore the love is handled exactly like that. It feels like dream love. It doesn't feel like real love. But yeah, it's completely unconventional, just strictly on the basis of how it's made. You never quite know who's in a relationship and who isn't, and who they're in a relationship with, which is super unconventional for romance movies, because at least in a conventional romance movie, you at least know who the fucking romantic leads are. But in this movie, it's like one of maybe 4 or 5 people. Who knows? There's a bunch going on, but yeah, it's hard to talk about without spoiling. So yeah, Mulholland Drive, great. Also, yeah, I do love Wild at Heart. It was between this or Wild at Heart, and I picked this just because I like this one more than Wild at Heart.
having just spoke on Mulholland Drive literally last week on the show, I won't say too much, but I I don't know that the experience of watching Mulholland Drive just a couple weeks ago in an LA theater, just a couple weeks after he passed, will ever be topped. It was the first David Lynch I've ever seen on the big screen, and being able to have it be this movie meant so
Special.
much. There's so many things that are elevated to be extra funny with a group for this movie. The chaotic shooting scene in the office was
Yeah.
freaking hilarious. The the one thing I noticed this time is the fact that Robert Forster's like third build in this movie, and he has like 12 seconds of screen time.
I mean, this is like the only movie where like I'll watch a video essay on it and come out more confused.
True.
And funny tidbit, after I watched this, I was reading some articles of like people talking, like cast and crew talking about like the making of this movie, and I completely don't remember her name, but the lady that plays the bum, her name's escaping me right now, but she's big in horror. Yes, by the way, Your Monster is great. She was talking about what to do in a scene with David Lynch. And David Lynch was trying to tell her like what look to have when she comes around the corner for that one moment behind the diner, and she said that because he was so handsome when he was talking, she just kind of phased out of what he was saying and just kind of looked at him really lovingly. And David Lynch was like, yes, exactly that. What you're doing right now, that, right? And the whole idea is that like she was giving David Lynch fuck me eyes. And that's exactly what David Lynch apparently wanted somehow. So when the bum does come around that corner for that scene, she's actually giving fuck me eyes, which I think also adds to the whole unconventional romance aspect of this pick.
Just great.
I love David Lynch.
Yeah, Mulholland Drive is great. I don't have any Lynch on my list because I talked about him last week. That's really the only reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
it's the only reason I didn't pick Past Lives, just because I've spoke about Past Lives a million times by now. I didn't feel like I needed to at this point.
I haven't talked about Past Lives in like a year, so I'm glad I could. My number 2 is one that I think it was Sibner earlier brought up, was what the lists were leading to. My number 2 is Michel Gondry's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Nice.
A masterpiece in and of itself, about people that are falling in and out of love at what time? Who knows? You have an incredible cast of Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Mark Ruffalo,
Kirsten Dunst, Elijah Wood.
Kirsten Dunst, obviously. Elijah Wood's hilarious in this. But one that always stuck out to me, Tom Wilkinson, is surprisingly incredible in this movie. This movie is so just uniquely filmed and done in obviously this very specific way because it's a Charlie Kaufman story, and everything that Kaufman writes is this weird fantasy land to begin with. And when you're starting there, it's going to be unconventional kind of no matter what. But then when you're telling the story of, erasing memories and imagining yourself being placed into something where you turn around and the world is a completely different place, you kind of get lost in a lot of that. And so the romance angle of one person falling for the other without the other one knowing it happens multiple times during this film. And then those fleeting moments of them realizing that they're falling for each other at the same time feel that much more meaningful. And so it the same way we talk about understanding it with Lynch, this is one of those movies that it's not really selling it enough to just say like it's a vibe film, but it's one of those things that you really are watching this just to feel things.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautifully interwoven tale that you have to kind of like give yourself up to this film. This is one of those things that you're along for the ride, especially the first time you see it. It's not the same. it's not the same thing moment to moment. Things are going to change on you in a whiplash fashion. You are going to be there realizing things about yourself as you realize things about Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. And based on that story, I mean, it's as much of a like love story as it is a tragedy in so many different times. Yeah, masterpiece.
Yeah, beautiful pick. My controversial opinion is that I think Charlie Kaufman is better when he's just a screenwriter. I think other people handle his writing much better than he does visually.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think this is the starring example. I think if Charlie Kaufman shot this movie, it wouldn't be as good. I think it would still be good, but like it would not be as special as it is.
Right.
Something about Gondry's just vision for this movie is unique.
I agree.
Incredibly unique, and that's incredibly hard for me to say because he's French. But like he just has such a unique vision for this movie, and it's exactly like you said. This is a movie that you don't really think about; you just kind of feel your way through.
Yeah.
And at a certain moment, as you're feeling your way through, you just kind of get it. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's a great pick. I considered it for my top 10 as well.
All right, then. What are we leading to on yours? What's your number one?
So, my number one here was originally my number 8. And then I watched it yesterday. And normally that wouldn't sway me too much because I also watched Audition yesterday and it stayed at my number 9. But my number one is Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave. I watched Decision to Leave again last night, and it is by no exaggeration maybe a top 5 movie of this decade. It is so incredibly good. It's like I said this to Zach, but like I've been in kind of a slump lately. Like I've been trying to get back into watching more movies and stuff like that. I've been doing a lot of that on my week off. But it's difficult sometimes. This is a movie where like I finished it and it reminded me why I love movies so much. Yeah. It is an absolute masterpiece from head to toe. Every single moment there's a new technique being used that like I've never seen someone do before. The interrogation scenes, I don't even know how they shot it because of all the mirror, and there's like this is besides kind of the point of the list, but still I need to get this out. There's like a shift focus thing where like there's the reflection behind them of the interrogation room and them in the foreground, and they'll have one character in focus and the other person's reflection in focus, and I don't even know how they did it, and I don't want to know. I'm not gonna look it up. It is complete movie magic to me. I can't even, and it's not really split dioptic. It's like I can't explain. You just kind of have to see it in the way like he shifts.
It just looks like really calculated blocking, to be honest.
Yeah, like I there must have been multiple shots and cameras involved, like and some really clever VFX, because it constantly switches the focus between like the four of them depending on how they feel about each other at the time, about who's speaking in what language at the time. It's just such an incredibly competent movie visually, in terms of storytelling. It's, to me, Park Chan-wook's best movie. It's so flawless. But a lot to do with that is the romance. So this is when I said Double Indemnity is the first and maybe only noir story, is because Decision to Leave is very much a neo-noir, but also Park Chan-wook did not mean for that to happen. People brought that up to him afterwards, and he was like, I didn't even think about that. But I guess that's, a thing. Yeah, for people saying it's on their list, but they haven't watched Decision to Leave. Like, I swear to God, it's so good. I can't believe it was snubbed for Best Picture that year. Like, it wasn't even nominated. It blows my mind. So the story is that a man falls from a cliff from a mountainside, um, and they're trying to determine whether it was suicide or murder. And the detective brings in the wife, since she's the main suspect on the case. But as he grows to suspect her more as the killer, he grows more infatuated with her, despite having a wife and all this stuff. And that's a classic noir story. If I just pitch you that, it sounds like a movie from the 50s.
Yep.
But it's so beautiful the way they build this romance to the point where, like, you don't know if she murdered the husband or not. Obviously you find out whether she did or not and stuff like this, but it kind of doesn't matter at a point, because you care more about these two characters talking than you actually care about the investigation. And then there's like a second investigation on the latter half of the movie, that bring these two characters back together, and it's like it handles romance in such a sad way. Like, there's a reason why the movie's called Decision to Leave and not Decision to Stay. It's supposed to be wrong the entire time.
Right.
We've spoken a lot about inconvenient soulmates on this whole list, but I think this is probably the strongest case of that. This was not the Parasite year. This was 2022. So the year of the Fabelmans and whatever. Everything Everywhere All at Once beat this movie, and that will never sit right with me. I can't believe it. But whatever. Yeah, it's just so perfect. And I saw a thing about Robert Eggers recently, where they asked him whether he would ever make a modern movie, like a movie with a modern setting. Right. And he was just saying, like, the idea of trying to shoot a mobile phone is like a nightmare to him. And that sounds like a correct thing, because I've said to my girlfriend before, the thing about the flip phone is the flip phone feels cinematic, right? Like, there's something just weirdly cinematic about a flip phone.
Yeah.
There is kind of nothing cinematic about a smartphone. That's why the phone doesn't really work as a good device anymore in movies. And this is the only movie that makes me question that. It uses the idea of a smartphone in its cinematography and stuff like that, and how it translates the relationship between these two characters in such a beautiful way that it makes technology look romantic. It's so bizarre. So good. So good. Beautiful movie. Perfect. One of the best movies I've ever seen.
Park Chan-wook is one of the best modern directors out there, and that even that's not saying it like in as much reverence as he deserves. His entire filmography is a list of crazy accomplishments, and like 5 of them could have been on this list. That's the funny thing. The only thing I'll really follow that up with, if you have somehow seen Old Boy or one of his other films and never seen The Handmaiden, you should watch The Handmaiden tomorrow. It is.
I have. That's The Handmaiden.
I have. Let me see. Right about there. I think it's the same one. The Curzon Artificial Eye.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie, and kind of defines romance in a weird way. Yep. Handmaiden is it's indescribable.
Like you said, there's multiple. The Old Boy weirdly could have been chosen, but I felt like I didn't want to touch that territory. I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay, which is one of Park Chan-wook's more underrated movies. I think easily could have been chosen. Obviously, Handmaiden could have been chosen. But yeah, I think I just needed an excuse to talk about Decision to Leave, because I don't hear about it enough. It is one of my favorite movies. It's in my top 100. I think I haven't changed my top 4 on Letterboxd since I've made it. I think I have to. I adored this movie so much last night. I couldn't speak afterwards. Like, it finished and I watched the entirety of the credits. I just sat there just reading it, and I was like, I cannot believe that a human made this. It's so perfect.
It's a great pick, and I love that you felt that way. This is going to feel very weird following up that impassioned conversation with this movie. But truly, I think that in an unconventional film, we have the best example of a true romance built into this. And I wanted to just spend a moment talking about how amazingly David Cronenberg was able to describe romance in The Fly.
Hey.
Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum almost like real time developing this love in a way where literally everything between them is on screen. And so often, you watch this movie and forget that Gina Davis is literally in a completely different relationship at the beginning of this movie, and suddenly these two are inseparable because of this process. And obviously this movie is oddly about obsession and what makes us in so many different ways, that you don't really break down the romantic angle of it. But this movie is kind of like my cinematic definition of romance. Everything that they have is put on the screen here. Everything that their characters have are in these like few and fleeting moments that they get together. And considering the fact that the very beginning of the movie is the two of them literally meeting, and by the end of this movie, what it has turned into is this ghastly apparition of what could have been, is just a terrifying ride. And you feel so emotionally attached and like depressed that Goldblum has turned into this brundle of sadness, I guess, instead of bundle of sadness. That, like you are depressed with him, and the fact that he poured so much into this that he's lost is just one of the most tragic things because of everything that they had. Yes, Ryan, we are talking about Transylvania 65000. No, the Fly is like my definition of love on film. There's nothing that isn't felt here between the two of them. And again, the fact that Gina Davis was sort of, half in, half out for a little while, and then so invested in this other person that is just invested in so much all at the same time, is so relatable and so depressing in so many different ways. Gina Davis's best performance, Jeff Goldblum's most haunting performance, Cronenberg's like one of my favorite examples of his body horror here, even though it's probably not my favorite Cronenberg, but on the romantic side of things, showing his range and his ability to have this in such a horrifying film. This could have felt like such a hollow deliverance of just, ooh, look at these effects that we can have. And that's where like modern horror loses so much of this, because it doesn't have that grounded reason for us to even be telling the story. Cronenberg brings a reason to every single time he sets up the fucking camera, that you feel so like invested in his filmmaking throughout this film. I adore this movie, and somehow it gets overlooked because it's, a Fox movie that's kind of hidden right now. It's out of print in the US. It is, Goldblum has turned into a caricature of a human, basically, and he's just kind of somebody that people laugh at. But like his 70s and 80s are truly incredible performances.
I would say even his 90s, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he was incredible in Jurassic Park, but obviously you can see him start taking that turn around the corner of just the weird, which is fine. I have nothing against the man.
Even still in Independence Day as well, he's great.
Right. Yeah, this, I don't know. There's so much about The Fly that can be studied and can be waxed poetically about, that it doesn't feel like enough. But this movie's amazing.
I have several thoughts. One, incredible pick. Incredible. And honestly, if I had thought about it, I would probably have put it in instead of Punch Drunk Love. I love The Fly so much. It is my favorite Cronenberg. Which people always look at you crazy when you say that as well, because it's like the most obvious Cronenberg. Like it's probably his most mainstream
By
movie.
far, yeah.
But like, I don't think it really matters when it comes to someone like Cronenberg, because even their most mainstream movie is still just a bizarrely odd movie. Yeah, one, the romance completely, and to tie it to Decision to Leave, it's the same, like in the essence that like the bizarre circumstances that brought these two people together, that you forget that one of them was already in a relationship,
Right.
you know, at a point, and because of these two leads having so much chemistry and having so much involvement, you do forget that. It's kind of, you know, in the same vein. I think Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis are maybe the sexiest romantic duo of all time. Just like the king and queen of unconventionally but incredibly attractive people.
Yep.
You know, it's so good. The effects incredible, and I think the change of Seth, you know, into Brundlefly and all the insect politics talk and stuff like that. I think that strongly does speak to their relationship, because like their conversations and their ideas and their love is so well built that when he does become Brundlefly and he does all the insect politics stuff, you can see the difference. Like, they don't have to be like, what? Like, there's no big dialogue, like, you're so different and stuff like that, because, like, the audience, Cronenberg trusts that the audience understands it. You know, he understands the work that he's put into the movie. And it's so good. It's so incredibly perfect. It feels like, I know it's like kind of a remake of the 50s movie, but it feels like a 50s monster movie in that way.
Yeah.
Because like the monster does have an incredibly tragic start and end, you know. And yeah, the final acts of this movie and the final moments are so sad. Yeah,
And
beautiful
so
movie.
timely and relevant. I mean, the fact that we're facing, you know, problems with access to abortion in 2024 and 5 nowadays, and I guess 2023 too, throw that in there. Like, there's so much about this that it's been a problem for so long, and the story is that much more timeless, which is terrifying. Like, this was supposed to be a like gut punch then, and we were supposed to overcome that and be like, oh, how awful it would be if you don't, whatever. Now it's 40 years later, and we've kind of gone further back than that, which is craziness.
And to go to Cronenberg as well, because he's known as like the body horror guy or whatever.
Right.
I think this aspect of his tool belt is severely underrated. He is very, very good at writing stuff about love, romance, sex, all this stuff. I did a video, I don't know how it holds up, probably not at all, about Crimes of the Future, when Crimes of the Future came out, and I think Crimes of the Future easily could slot into this category as well. And just the way like he communicates those feelings using the most weirdly, outwardly disgusting ways.
Yep.
I think he's probably one of the most honest filmmakers I've ever witnessed, and I'm not ready for this man to go either.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, one of the big things, you know, I mentioned like modern horror not having some of this, but even like there are certain directors that are really great at what they do, but then you can really tell that they're lacking in certain things. And I'll use this as an easy example because I just talked about it a few weeks ago, but even like Robert Eggers, his most romantic film should have been Nosferatu, but it's not even.
No.
The romance is horrible in that movie. His romantic film is The Lighthouse, which is hilarious. He does not know how to write proper, like, this is supposed to be a love story aspect, and the only time that it comes across as romantic is seemingly when he's not even taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Nosferatu, you're supposed to feel this crazy chemistry, especially in that third act, and instead it just feels forgotten. It feels overwritten. And if it was somebody like Cronenberg that was getting that screenplay, that would have been a focused aspect. It would have been something that would have been on screen a lot. It would have been something that was an accomplishment rather than basically like a footnote.
Yeah, I think there's some people that are just like, because love is such a complicated thing, and I think to write love well is to know that you're not gonna pin it. You know, you're not gonna get it exact. You need to understand that it's complex, so you need to kind of have a complexity to it. It can't just be we're in love, and that's what it is. It needs to be something like much stronger than that, something more dynamic than that. And I think Cronenberg is so beautiful at writing like that.
Stan says disagree about Nosferatu. I don't think that was Eggers' goal. You're right. It was not his goal, and I think that's where that falls flat. The whole story of Nosferatu, romance should have been a big aspect of it, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I gave Nosferatu a 9 out of 10. I think it's an incredible piece of work, but I do think it is deadly missing that. I think like the performances are enough to let you know that that's what's meant to be going on.
Right.
Therefore, you can follow it enough, like it doesn't get lost. But like it's nowhere near as strong as it should be. That's honestly probably my only gripe with the movie. I think like if I really, really felt the love, then it probably would have been a 10. This is a okay, so we spoke about Fanny and Alexander recently.
Yeah.
And this is one of my problems with movies like that, with like period pieces and stuff like that that are set like in old times, is like people say they're in love in movies like that, and that's all there is to it. You know, like when I was watching Fanny and Alexander, people were saying they were deeply in love with these people, and I just didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it. You've had 2 scenes together, none of them were really that romantic, and now I just have to accept that you're in love. It's bullshit. I need to feel it. I like if I don't feel it, I'm not accepting it, because love is just one of those things. Like fear, if someone says that they're scared in a movie and they're emoting fear, I can completely buy it. I don't need to be put into that mode myself for me to buy that is your state as a character. But love is not like that. Love is something that like I feel like we need to recognize to kind of know. So you just saying like we're in love, I'm calling bullshit. And I feel like that's where I can tell those kinds of movies are some of Robert Eggers' favorite movies, because that's exactly how Nosferatu plays. You know, people just say they're in love and they say how deeply they're in love, but I never feel that they're in love. I just feel like that's what I'm being told that they are. And yeah, that's my little mini rant on that.
Any that were close to your list that you wanted to bring up for a quick moment?
So yeah, there was The Shape of Water. That was my original 10 pick until I remembered Double Indemnity like 2 days ago. So I had to put Double Indemnity in there. So Shape of Water got booted off the island. I wanted to pick Before Sunrise or Before Sunset, but I felt like with my list I was trying to be very unconventional, so I picked the most unconventional in that trilogy, being Before Midnight. There was like a lot, but I honestly, when I made my list, I should have put all the mentions that I wanted to put in there, because you know I ran through quite a lot. But in general, I think what I landed with is what I'm happy with, and past lives, of course. But I've spoken about past lives way too much.
The only one that hasn't been brought up tonight, because you covered a couple that were also on my like really close list. I really look back on 500 Days of Summer fondly, and the whole fact that that movie ends in such a "this will never work out, it's over" stop moment was so needed for so many people in that moment, and I am just glad that they leaned into that unconventional thing, because in any other version of that movie, probably made a decade earlier, they would have easily ended up together in the last 30 seconds, and it would have been fucking terrible.
There's challenges as well. I think I considered challenges at a certain point. And there was one that I wanted to pick, but romance was the word that was really killing it, which was The Banshees of Inisherin. Because I feel like the leads have this very weird will they, won't they the entire time, but it's not really romantic. It is love, and it is a will they, won't they, but romantic is like a strong word to apply to it. So I couldn't do it in the end. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the Banshees.
Which is odd, because you can kind of put the romantic word, like I just said, on Lighthouse, but not on Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
And if you watch those back to back, you should be able to understand why.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, it feels like it should be the same, but it's completely not. Yeah.
I mean, that's it. This has been such a fun topic. I love deep diving into some of these. You've been on here twice now, and each time has been very thoughtful conversations that I look back on very fondly. The biggest thing, just a reminder, we are 3 days away from the award show. Make sure you come back on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Krit will be a part of it. I will be a part of it. And there's, again, lots of surprises, some giveaways, giving away some pretty incredible things this time. People are very happy to see you all happy, so make sure you come ready to answer some questions, win some stuff that is going to be great. Anything you want to share before we head out for the night, Krit?
I will be asleep.
Still tired from tonight on Sunday. I get it.
Yeah. I will be going back to bed as soon as this wraps.
Good choice.
And yeah, I really loved being here. It was a great topic, and I'm glad we got to do it.
And what's funny is, because we've been talking about it so long, it felt like this immense relief of just finally we get to discuss.
Yeah, I think we legit spoke about this the day after we did our last live. I'm pretty sure, like, we had confirmed it like within the next couple of days after the last live. So it's been months of waiting for it.
We will be scheduling the next one in the next 48 hours, I bet.
Yeah, probably. And I will have my list done within the hour.
And I will not even attempt. Thank you all for hanging out. As usual, link for things like the Patreon is in the description below. If you signed up for that recent promotion, as soon as the awards are over and I get a chance to sleep Sunday night, I will be reaching out to people finally to be able to go through that. I've got my list for all of the stuff that are part of that promotion that's going on right now, so let me know about that. If you want to sign up, that promotion is still valid. If you sign up for anything at the $7 tier or above and pay for a full year in advance, there's multiple levels is not the word, labels that have donated items to give away to everybody. And I've got a handful of things here that I'm giving away. If you get in there, I'll show you the list of things that are available, and you can choose the one that you want, and it'll be right off to you. Other than that, pick up the newest edition of the Physical Media Advocate. Have a good night. Have a good week. Watch some movies, and we'll see y'all on Sunday. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.